an absolutely sensational event, and from a worldwide perspective, the biggest ever in the history of Nashville, Tennessee. With Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer, I'm Will Bowling. It is Monday, August the 21st, with lots to discuss. How are we? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, exciting weekend.
Very busy weekend, eventful weekend for Nashville. Seeing NBA players kick balls and, just all kind of stuff happened this weekend,
That's
man.
right.
Can't wait to hear about it,
We had
Will.
high school football, football, and the other football.
And the other football. Yeah, we had a lot going on with the feet this weekend, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Yes, we did. By the way, just one quick announcement, too. Minnesota, land of lies, okay?
Hello? What?
10,000 lakes.
Oh, boy.
That's a lie. 10,000
How many
lakes is a
lakes
lie,
did you
y'all.
count while you were there?
I saw nothing but ponds is what I'm telling you.
Well, it's not right inside the city.
No, I was outside in Egan, okay? We were outside, and we drove past a lot of water, just reserves is what we'll call them at this point, okay? And I'm trying to figure out, how do you have 10,000 lakes? Do you understand how big an actual lake is? Like, it's okay to say it's 10,000 ponds or 10,000 water resources. I just needed to announce that, y'all.
Boy.
Things that were probably considered lakes in Tennessee is definitely a pond. I just want to say that. The land of lies is what we'll call them.
Do you know the difference? Or why did I say it like that?
Difference?
Do you guys know the difference between a pond and a lake?
Size, isn't it? Because we looked up the definition on the road.
Well, depth's got to be part of it.
It is about the how the light progresses through the water. If the light can hit the bottom of the water, it is a pond.
Right.
If the light cannot hit the bottom of the water, it is a lake.
Depth.
Wait a minute here, Bert. How can we tell that it's the bottom or not? That's what I'm really asking.
How do we know that's really the bottom?
How we know if that's the bottom, man?
Go for a dive.
I saw, apparently if you have scum on, the top of a pond, because that was a pond, that...
Colts fans?
The leader of the well passed away, so he couldn't even spend the $20 million. Yeah, that's crazy. But that's neither here nor there, though. I'm telling you, what I saw, y'all, was ponds. I didn't see one lake while I was there the entire time. So
Well, I can verify they have lakes.
They do have lakes. Yeah,
Yes.
they're very. I know they have a lot of lakes, but
Just nothing you could get to.
I
might
don't
just be
think
like 10
it's
of them.
10,000.
Yeah,
The
No.
10,000 though.
that's a lot.
You
It's a lot
sure
of
about
lakes.
that?
Did you talk to people in Minnesota about that?
No, I didn't. It was a very bubble conversation.
I'm
that I had
surprised
with
because you're
people.
usually questioning.
I
you have
can-
questions like that. Randomly
You just
for
ask
people.
questions to the PR staff about who's healthy and who's not, because there are a lot of injuries for you to follow.
Yeah, it was a lot of injuries
On
this
Saturday in
weekend.
Minnesota.
Yes, it was, man. I had to fight for those too because it was a lot of the game. I was looking around like, where is this guy? Like Colton
Yeah.
Dow.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
Didn't play.
There we go.
Yeah.
He warmed up, was on the sideline, and then he went inside. He went inside for the entirety of the game. I didn't see him much on the sideline. So, again, there's a lot that transpired. Patriots situation, of course, this week. We'll get into a lot of it, I'm sure, today, man. But, yeah, a lot of injuries this past weekend.
615-737-1045. We've got the ability to take your phone calls throughout the show this morning on a Reaction Monday. Our biggest takeaways from the Titans' preseason win over Minnesota coming up in just a few minutes. We've got Mike Rabel meeting with the media yesterday. Nashville SC with a dramatic defeat at the hands of Lionel Messi and Inter Miami over the weekend. And speaking of the guys who did not play, there was a big list of those who did not play and also did not finish the game due to injury. Ramon, perhaps most importantly, how would you self-scout your second performance on Titans Radio?
Mine?
Yes.
Oh, man.
I'll ask you to self-scout yourself before you scout what the Titans did.
I got over adversity this weekend.
Oh, did you?
Absolutely, yeah. We had communication issue here or there, which the broadcast, you never know that. Had to make adjustments on the fly. Flexible is what I call it this past weekend, man.
Outstanding.
I actually had to put Mike Keefe and Coach Mack in my ear for a little bit as far as from my phone, which the transmitter was doing this little thing. It's nothing crazy, but there was always an answer. They had a backup plan, had the phone in. I think Lucas was in the studio, if I'm not mistaken, this weekend. Had to be on the call, basically, and do the call. It was good, though.
Nice.
I will say, making advanced steps in footwear on the sideline, too.
Oh, what did you end up wearing?
I ended up wearing a more comfortable shoe, but I'm going to go a step above that again, and I'm going to go ahead and just get some Hokas, I think, is what I'm going to do for the sideline. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just, you know
Very
what?
smart.
That.
You are 100% correct. Fashion is one thing, but overall comfort trumps that.
I
Is
don't
all
think
I'm
I've
telling
seen
you.
the men's Hokas.
They're
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
They're about the same as the women's, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's one of the best running shoes on the market.
I just
Oh,
think
wow.
I'm going to
Yeah.
find, but the thing is, you got to find more than one color. And I'm like, those shoes are expensive, though, too.
They
You've never had a
are.
problem finding colors of shoes, though.
I know, man. I'm going to do a blue and probably a gray or a gray and a black. One or the other is going to happen.
They've got weird colors, though. They'll do like neon orange and like, aquamarine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That's
I'm
the
looking
only
at them right
thing.
now.
And the thing too, I would say I was patient this weekend too. The preseason, I realized, and from my playing days, I really hate the preseason because there's so many bodies. Minnesota had a ton of people around the lower bowl and just near the field, and the incorporation of cheerleaders also on the sideline to where they were in the space that I was walking last week freely, okay? This week, I had to make sure I didn't get kicked in the back of the head and I wasn't invading their dance space. I don't know whose space is whose space on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? Because they're Minnesota employees, okay? They have a
Sure.
right to be there, and I am on the sideline in their area that they're usually in. And I was just it was bottled up on the sideline this weekend, but it was fine, though. It was.
Well, wait till you see Friday. I'm
that's
sure
what I
that's going to
figured.
be plenty of bottled upness down there, too.
With a lot of heat this weekend, too.
It's gonna be hot all week.
Oof.
It's gonna be
Friday's
hot
going to be
all week.
toasty.
But it was good. Minnesota Stadium is beautiful.
Yeah, that was my next question is how's the stadium?
It is beautiful.
Nice.
And apparently I was talking to some of the equipment folks and some of the communications, PR folks with the Titans. Like, they set up everything perfectly that you would ever need inside of that stadium. Just connection hookups, the way the restrooms are all set up, like it's set up beautiful. If I'm not mistaken, the same architect that built that one, I think it's supposed to be formulated or supposed to be building the one here in Nashville. And if that's the case, you're gonna have a beautiful, amazing stadium. Like, I was excited when I found that out. And the glass structure up top, I think it's supposed to be the same glass structure that
Makes
the
it
Titans
feel
are
a
using.
little more open
It
instead
did,
of just
though.
a cement or, whatever
Yeah.
they use, dome.
Like, it was 8:00 at night, and because of that glass structure, being able to see out still, I was like, oh, wow, I can still see outside of the building. Like, it was good to see daylight and, the city and stuff inside of the stadium.
Yeah, HKS was the company that did the Viking Stadium. I don't think they're the ones on the Titans
I
Stadium.
think, from my understanding, I was told that I think it's the same guy that the architect at least will.
It may be the same
I think
person.
the
It's a
same
different
architect.
company.
Yes.
Okay.
Same architect.
There you go.
It was designed beautifully, man. And the city of Minnesota is really cool, too. It's my first time there. Really nice people, too.
Oh, yeah.
Really nice people.
Did you talk to anybody about how this is the first Titans win since you became a Downing advocate?
Ooh.
That's true.
That's right.
That's sad, Will.
What? It's the first win in 8 games.
Sad. You're
Kind of
right.
crazy.
I
They still
know.
got to break that losing streak, obviously, in the regular season.
regular
This doesn't really
season.
count, but, it's the first Titans win since Green Bay.
It
A win's a
is.
win.
Golly, that makes me look like an even worse person right there. It's like I advocated for that dude.
You did.
I did advocate for that.
Now
man.
it's the Jets' problem.
Now it's the Jets' problem. You're 100% correct. But the running game for the Titans was on fire.
It was, and we will get to that and all of our main takeaways from this performance over the weekend. Robert, did the Ravens extend their preseason winning streak over the weekend?
They play tonight.
Oh.
They play the Commanders tonight, and I would say no, they will not.
Oh, really?
It was announced over the weekend. John Harbaugh says Tyler Huntley is not going to play. You're going to get a heavy dose of Josh Johnson and undrafted quarterback Anthony Brown. So I would say no. If you've seen either one of those quarterbacks play in the recent years, they are not good. They are not great. Anything about them, I don't know how we're going to evaluate anyone, but finally get this streak over with. Let them crash and burn.
It feels like Harbaugh is annoyed from all the memes, perhaps.
That could be it.
and wants to throw the game.
He is bothered by the memes. He's bothered by the jokes. His family's been pestered for years by dad jeans and the ilk of that. So it would not surprise me to see us lose 30, 40, 50 to nothing tonight just to rid ourselves of the preseason curse.
Yeah, with no more Lolita for NFL meme makers to focus on. It's all Harbaugh. It's all Ravens.
It is.
R.I.P. in peace. 615-737-1045 is our number if you want to jump in. Coming up, the biggest takeaway from the win over Minnesota, including yours at 615-737-1045 here in Hour 1 on Ramon, Kale, and Will.
It's Ramon Foster for Genesis Diamonds, and people here know Genesis Diamonds as the value leader. They've proven it. Just last week they did. You know why? Genesis is a true direct importer with connections that go back for 50-plus years. No middleman markups, no consignments, fees, no third-party people to pay. But one thing people here really love about Genesis is this is where you can get her a better ring, a designer ring, a handcrafted ring that reflects how you see her. While other stores sell knockoff rings or crappy overseas rings, at Genesis you can get her a stunning designer ring made here in America by top designers. These are rings made to last. Names like Sakura and Viraggio and dozens more. Bottom line, she will proudly show off a Genesis ring because it won't be mass-produced ring. It will be something unique, something amazing. And don't worry about the price. Genesis will make sure you can get a designer ring that fits your budget with the diamond she will love. That's what Genesis specializes in, combining the best diamond value with the best quality ring to give you the total package with a free lifetime warranty as well. Genesis Diamond, where luxury and value come together every day. Check them out. They're located in Green Hills and in Cool Springs. And don't forget about the all-new collection of amazing luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. It's incredible.
Monday morning continues on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. 615-737-1045. That's how you give your biggest Titans takeaway this morning as they beat the Minnesota Vikings. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Dave is in Nashville up first, here to educate us on lakes versus ponds. What's up, Dave?
Hey, I'm not going to say I want to educate you, but I was always told that the difference between a lake and a pond is if you dam up a river, like they dammed up the Stones River to make Percy Priest, or they dammed up the Cumberland River to make Old Hickory, that makes it a lake. Where a pond usually is just a big hole you dig in the ground, and like rain and natural runoff water fills it up. You know, like farmers dig a pond to water their cattle or water their livestock, where a lake, you dammed up a river and backed it up to make a lake.
There you go.
So, I don't know if that's right, but that's what I was always told.
You see?
Thank you,
It
Dave.
makes sense.
Well, you were told wrong, Dave.
That's crazy that Dave called us from underwater to tell us that, too.
I
Right.
hope he can make it through there in his summary.
He's speaking on experience.
Wonder if he's in a lake or a pond.
Hey, I'm telling y'all, the
or a black hole.
the water
Or that.
resources I saw weren't as big as this room, man. And we got a nice sized room here. So, hey, call it what they want to. 10,000 lakes.
There's 11,000 actually.
11,000? Oh, you serious?
It just didn't have quite the same ring to it.
It did. You kind of
11,000 does not have the same.
yeah.
Home of
That's an odd
11,353 lakes.
Right?
In fact, back when Butch Jones used to talk about Neyland Stadium, be like, yeah, the 102-455 is really going to have our backs today, guys. Yeah, he would say that all the
didn't say
time.
that.
He'd be like, yeah, the 102-455 this weekend, we're ready to go play some Tennessee football.
No,
I'll take any questions you guys have.
I gotta hear that sound
Anyway,
bite.
he said it all the time. I know. That's back when I covered that team as a beat writer, and I would write down what he was going to say before his press conference, and then I would fill in with the slight tweaks. Anyway, Tennessee and Minnesota over the weekend. We've got enough time to give 11,000 takeaways this morning on the show. Biggest takeaway you had from the win over Minnesota?
They may have found the gym in Caleb Murphy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They may have found the gym in Caleb Murphy. I know he came in from Ferris State with a ton of sacks in college, and you think to yourself, how do you make this work for a guy? And he put it on display. I thought the right tackle was having a bad day for Minnesota. Well, that was until he moved over to the left tackle side too. He was having a day in Minnesota. That's one of my biggest takeaways. That's aside from a leak in the offense.
Yeah, and Caleb Murphy, even Rhett Bryan told us, I believe, at the start of camp when we were previewing, that was a guy he was kind of looking at. Sometimes
Yes.
you hear about these smaller schools and you don't pay those guys much attention, but he's kind of made some flashes in camp and then has had 2 really good preseason games, like you mentioned. Sacks in each one, 2, I believe, on Saturday. And just shows that dog personality. And that would be great if he can make the roster and continue development, just the depth we always talk about at that position. Having that would be really, really important. But I am going to go on the offensive side of the ball, and probably one that might be a little obvious because of his performance. But Julius Chestnut, I think, is really solidifying himself as the number 3 running back right now, which we've talked about the depth of this position before, but Hassan Haskins has not been available as of late in terms of practice, and then did not play in the preseason game. You had Jonathan Mingo, I believe. Is it Jonathan? Why did I just say Jonathan?
Ward.
Jonathan
Ward,
Mingo.
excuse me. I don't know why I
receiver.
said Jonathan Mingo.
Georgia
Old Miss guys,
Miss.
that's
Oh,
why.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, Jonathan Ward was injured, so he's kind of out of the picture. So I thought this was a huge opportunity for Julius Chestnut to relish, and he did. He's been having great practices as well, so I think that's a good thing for him to have a preseason game like that and maybe establish that number 3 spot.
It was.
Tajay Spears had 7 carries for 57 yards. Julius Chestnut had 98 rushing yards on 13 carries, including a 5-yard touchdown run. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that running back is by far the Titans' deepest position on the entire roster. Not even close either.
Well, that's what I said a couple weeks ago, too.
Yeah. I mean, Tajay Spears, I think, is a legitimate, solid day one second option. Just got to continue to stay healthy. And Julius Chestnut has the ability to come in and be a between the tackles runner, a special teams guy, and a pretty solid blocker too, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every other running back might be out of a job.
No, seriously.
I mean, it's those three.
It really is. And the thing about it, though, too, is you still have Hassan Haskins, who is practice squad eligible. I'm not sure he'll clear waivers if he does get cut, but it will be fascinating to see how it does shake out. Julius took full advantage of everything that was given to him this past weekend. If I'm not mistaken, Next Gen also had him running 20 miles per hour, too.
That's what, I think Teron had tweeted that out, Teron Davenport. And I was like, dang.
Yeah, move.
He's got some speed to him, too.
A thick body running back, too, that was capable of a 55-yard run. Like, that doesn't happen, man. And I know as much as people devalue the running back position, the running backs are the reason you won that game this weekend. To Will's point, broke the losing streak of this team. Kind of. When we combine.
Not really, but kind of, yes.
When we combine wins and losses from last season, this one, yes, 100% correct on that one, Will. Real humble kid. I asked him after the game, did you expect you was going to be in this position? He was just like, you prepare. He's like, you just kind of put yourself in position to where you don't doubt yourself. And he was very, very, very charismatic with how, it was fun for him to get that opportunity and show the world. It was a primetime game, essentially, in the preseason. And he performed very well. 7.5 average.
Yeah. When you had talked about not just the rushing game, but the passing game in terms of that touchdown, you had mentioned it was kind of a difficult catch, and it was if you look at the angle of it. And I thought Malik still did a good job of getting it to him, but he also made an incredible job of actually putting out the effort to make the catch. So I thought that was positive too, since we know that these backs are probably going to be a little bit incorporated in the pass catching game as well with this offense.
Really good throw by Malik too.
Yeah.
On that touchdown in the end zone, 1 yard pass, but it was placed perfectly for only Julius Chestnut to catch that ball.
Well, here is Julius Chestnut post-game talking about Tajay Spears' run and the second half adjustments the Titans offense made that was certainly a theme for all the players who spoke to the media yesterday. This was Julius Chestnut talking to Jim Wyatt post-game in Minnesota.
Yeah, watching Tajay run and, hurdling a guy and then scoring, that was obviously a beautiful sight to see from him. But, we kept rolling after that. So from everybody, Malik was running the ball a few and everybody was getting to it. Absolutely, it's more like everybody, if the more you can get going, then the better you probably play. So it was a good day. Just the physicality of the game, we came in, we was a little not into it, I would say, but in the second half we got to it. Physical up front, the O-line kept fighting, so we was able to come out there and compete in the second half.
There's Julius Chestnut post-game in Minnesota. I think the second half adjustments and going from just the 7 points in the first quarter to then nothing in the second and then scoring 17 in the second half, I think is a step in the right direction for a team that was doing the opposite last season.
It was. And he bring up a great point, too. That first half versus the second half was literally night and day. Like, it was. And you saw the sideline react to it also. When the big boys started rolling up front offensively, you saw Big Jeff, you saw Rabel, you saw everybody just rolling down the sideline like keep it going. And it was at a point in the game where Minnesota's left side of their defense could do absolutely nothing right. They could do absolutely nothing right as far as stopping this team running the ball. It seemed like, as Julius Chestnut said, like a switch was flipped. Like, all right, y'all, let's end this game so we can get back to Nashville. It was exciting to see from that second unit that was out there, them kind of gather themselves and say, let's take this game over. And I'll be honest, that crowd was loud. Mm-hmm. It was probably it was closest to a regular season feel of a game in that stadium as I've seen so far. Like,
the way sound is kept in there too is different.
It was loud.
It like echoes.
Yes, it was. It was very loud. And for that group to kind of be composed and how they went about doing their job, I thought was very fascinating. But that whole sideline really rallied behind the running game, and you can tell, too.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good sight to see them really, as a group, take over the line of scrimmage, take over the game and say, all right, school, we're just going to run the ball. I think most people knew that Malik wasn't going to have the entire playbook to actually do what he wanted to through the air. I think if he had Levis out there, they would have thrown it a little bit more. But all in all, why? When they're averaging the running backs in Malik this game, for instance, were Julius Chestnut, 7.5 yards of carry, Malik Willis with his rushing, 8.3, and Tajay Spears, 8.1. I don't think I've ever seen a stat line like that a day in my life when it comes down to the running back by committee situation.
Yeah.
And it certainly bodes better for the offensive line than giving up, 9 sacks in Chicago?
Oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kept it a bit simpler for the backup offensive lineman. I don't know if there's a ton that's super legit you can take away from, threes versus threes and Malik Willis continuing in there. But before we get to Malik Willis and the quarterbacks, which will be or quarterback singular, unless you count Mason Kinsey as one too, negative takeaways from the weekend. We've gone through good things that happened. What are the bad things that happened?
Yeah, I'll start with that one because the injuries are definitely something that I look at, and I know they happen with every team, and we've seen it in preseason, whether it be, in joint practices or in preseason games. We've seen players go down. But for the Titans, I think I had mentioned this last week that you could never have enough depth, right? And I was speaking specifically at the wide receiver position because 2 years ago, you thought you had a ton of depth there in camp. And then, how quickly that diminished. And you're trying to figure out who your wide receivers are. If you had enough to fill the room. And with what happened on Saturday, it leaves me a little concerned because I know Treylon Burks is back in 3 weeks or 4 weeks or what they're reporting at least. But now you've got Kyle Phillips, who was injured in the punt return game. And we don't know the extensive, details on that, but it probably isn't going to be something where he's going to be right back. And then you had Kyrus Jackson, who is one of the guys who has been my favorite, one of my favorites wide receiver-wise in camp that's been battling for possibly a spot. And he goes down on the punt return. So you lose the punt returners and you could possibly lose your 2 more wide receivers in terms of depth, especially Kyle Phillips. That's just concerning to me. I know there's nothing you can do about it, but that's concerning to me.
Mm-hmm. I would roll with you on that one, too. I definitely could have picked that one as far as wide receivers. And it does get fragile, especially when you start talking about guys past DeAndre and past Treylon. And heck, I'll say this, man, before I go into my negatives into it. NWI has the best ability of all these guys after the first 2 because he's always available.
Yeah, he's wide receiver 3 right now. And he was even when Kyle Phillips was on the practice field.
Come on, man.
Like, people are trying to still cut the Titans wide receiver 3. Nick Westbrook-Akide is wide receiver 3.
But in any other team, he's not.
I mean, he's not.
I don't know about any other, but yeah, most other for sure.
Yeah. But I don't want to minimize his ability to do all the things you ask usually a number 3 to do. Like, think about teams across the league. Who is the third wide receiver you can really bring up? Most of the times it goes down to a tight end, though. Yeah. Your tight end is usually your number 3. So we're talking about the third slot as far as the wide receivers go. Is usually the guy after the tight end is basically your 4th option. And that right there, to me, is a perfect place to put NWI, respectfully, because I'm sure his number 1 job is a wide receiver.
Well, you got Chris Moore, too, that's shown some bright spots in camp and in games. But
similar style player.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A similar style player. That to me is very fascinating. And I'll say this too about NWI, and I'm not standing on the soapbox for him. I'm just going to what he actually does. That to me is be available, and he is a dog when it comes down to him playing special teams.
Well, yeah.
Like,
Rabel loves him.
He does, but he does that job so well. He looks like a leader when it comes down to that pack being out on the field. He's the one they go to, and he's playing that into the second half of this preseason game, so that says a lot. My negative, though, Will, as I get to it before we come up on it, I don't know what we're going to do about the kicking situation. Like, legitimately, Trey Wolf banging one off the upright from not that far away, that's concerning to me. It really is. And to scramble after cut day to go find a guy that can be your kicker for the entire year, you don't want that to be the case, because he comes in a pressurized situation, has Coach Rabel as his coach, got to come down here and play in the AFC South where points are always at a premium, and you got to figure out if he's going to be good for you for the totality of the season.
Yeah.
Between Trey Wolf and Caleb Shudak, y'all got to figure this thing out. And I'm on the outside looking in. I'm not sure what the inside of the building is as far as the way they're being coached up or how, they're being pressed to be really good. But they get into the stadium sometimes, and it just doesn't give me much confidence.
Sure. And I know Washington Commanders had just released one of their kickers, Michael Badgley, which is interesting just because you're looking at any guys possibly that could be on the market if this isn't going to work out, if this experiment. And yes, I'm going to call it an experiment because it was. These weren't proven starters. You've got a rookie and Caleb Shudak who's played in one game for the Titans. So there's something that they got to have a backup plan for at this point.
Have to, y'all.
And Randy Bullock's still sitting there.
There you go.
As long as we're from 44 in, we're good, right?
The kickers available at the moment: Mason Crosby at 38 years old, Ryan Suckup at 36, Robbie Gould at 40, Randy Bullock, Zane Gonzalez, Tristan Vizcaino. One of those guys is going to be your kicker, or someone else that's going to get cut. I don't think the kicker for this Titans team is currently on the roster.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. And like you said, I think there will be other teams trying to sort and sift through teams cutting their guys. You may have to pay somebody a little bit extra to come and be your kicker for the year because it's such a prime position right now because you don't have that guy in house right now. Again, something could change for them in the last couple of weeks during training camp because they're still in camp mode. But I'm not confident in what those guys are capable of. From last week kicking balls out of bounds to missing, to this week banging one off the upright. And they had, 3 opportunities this past weekend to get points and whatnot.
Plus a 22-yard field goal, so 4.
4, yeah. I'm not confident at this point. And I know we're talking about kickers. You do
No,
need
it's legit.
We're talking about them every season now.
We are. And that's bothersome right there.
Negative takeaway for me was just drops in general. Chikakonkwo with 2 drops. For a guy that is ready to take a big step and is one of the few starters, really the only starting offensive weapon that played in this game, you couldn't tell. And that's probably being a bit harsh from, 30,000 feet on one preseason game. It doesn't really matter. But essentially, Chig has to show and flash as, hey, that guy must be a starter. Couldn't tell.
Yeah.
How much of that, you guys, real quick, goes, though, with the not throwing or catching with Malik usually in practice? Because he's not usually the guy who's doing stuff with Malik, right? I just wonder.
The ball was in his hands. He's going to catch it.
Well, the first one was absolutely inexcusable.
Yeah.
And that was a third of his targets. So I don't think it's much, personally. 615-737-1045 is our number. More Titans discussion when we come back as we look at a couple of those mistakes, including the Malik Willis interception. Some penalty mistakes as well. The negatives from Minnesota coming up next.
Hey, this is Kayla Anderson for the Ingram Agency, local agency, founded from the ground up back in 2010. Chris Ingram, along with his team of fully licensed professionals, they have created such a strong agency focusing on serving all of Tennessee. And if you need insurance, this is definitely the company to work with. Specializing in a wide array of products, they do it all, including auto, home, life, commercial, and even aviation. This is not your average insurance company, y'all. The Ingram Agency, founded on passion for education and support, and their goal has really always been to guide and protect clients comprehensively. So if you're looking right now for a family-owned insurance company that you're not going to deal with all the other garbage that comes along with it, and an insurance company who actually cares about the customer, make sure to call the Ingram Agency, 615-206-8276, or log on to theingramagency.com. Rest easy with the Ingram Agency.
Moving right along on a Monday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Your phone calls at 615-737-1045 with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh, our producer. I'm Will Bowling. We'll get to Bert's takeaway from the weekend as well, coming up here in just a moment. Some of the other mistakes, we're talking about the positives and negatives from the weekend in Minnesota. 2 turnovers, one by Malik Willis, another by Trey Avery, who's a guy that's rightfully been given a lot of praise by Mike Rabel and by the coaching staff for what he's been able to do defensively as an undrafted guy. Got to get out of the way of a bouncing punt.
Yeah, you do.
That's another special teams mistake in preseason that we just can't really have happen.
I will say, it looked like Minnesota was rewarded for such a trash punt on that one, though,
Yes,
too,
they
man.
were. Ryan Wright.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Had a rough
gosh.
day.
That was a trash punt that just, I'm with you. You got to get out of the way, but that sucked, oh, man.
Yeah, Rabel said about that with Trey Avery. He said he was just in a tough spot with the punt going off of him. That was just kind of one of those, that's the way the ball bounces.
Yeah, I heard Mike Keefe said on the call, it was just like, you essentially have the Vikings rewarded for such a trash punt. I was like, he didn't call it trash, but it was such a bad punt, though. It bounced back, what was it, maybe 20 yards after it landed? Like, it was by far one of the craziest punts I've ever seen. Yeah, weird. With no wind on top of that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other penalty issues you had, Justin Murray called for a holding penalty that wiped away a first down. Sam Okwanu, who had a roughing the passer penalty, which led to a first down for Minnesota. Tyreek Jones for a defensive pass interference in the end zone, and then a lot of drops. And Chikakonkwo, we mentioned him with 3 targets. One of them was caught, 2 of them were dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Specifically the first target, like we talked about.
Yeah. The one with Malik, though, that was – he's got to grow past those things. And then you still see some of those portions of his game where he feel like he has to be the savior of the game. He's got to be Superman. And I was actually – Brian Flores they had some pregame stuff going on. He was like, not every meal is a banquet. And I think once Malik understands that as a player – I think he's going to be a whole lot better. Just like that fumble snap, he got up and tried to extend the play and run and make yards. No, sometimes get that ball, get rid of that ball.
Yeah.
Because it looked
Avoid injury.
Oh, my gosh, Kayla, did you see that play with him?
We were talking about that in the break.
It looked like his ankle either rolled or his knee kind of moved a little funny on that play. I was panicking on the sideline like, oh, my Lord. Like, this is going to be bad, Malik. Get down.
I will say with Malik, the one thing I have seen, and look, playing a full preseason game is different because you are playing with different lines and different weapons, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say when he's made mistakes, at least what I've seen this year, he doesn't panic, right? And he never really did before, but I feel like he doesn't lose the confidence. And that's something last year I feel like when he made a mistake, it's kind of like his confidence got kind of chipped a little bit. I don't see that as much this year. It's kind of like, okay, let's move on. Next play. It's not going to be perfect. Still a growth process, but still gotta work on some protection in terms of
of himself,
taking care of the ball and himself.
Yeah.
Let's go to Rob on the phone lines next. 615-737-1045. What's up, Rob?
Yeah, this Rob. I'm calling because all this NWI talk is getting ridiculous now. Listen to me now. Okay, just because Nashville is full of transplants and out-of-towners don't mean we constantly need to just keep changing to be changing. He ain't number 1. He ain't number 2. Hell, you can argue if he's number 3, but you know what? He's there. He's there every year, and he's balling out when he needs to ball out. I'm tired of this now. We can't keep up with Germantown. We can't keep up with down south. We can't keep up with nothing. But you know what? I'm keeping up with NWI because that's my guy. And we need to make him a Titan for life now. Quit changing just to be changing. Also, one last thing I just want to say, it's a brother out there named Just Mike. He got a song out called Never Alone. And let me tell you, it's a good one.
Wow, is that
Rob.
NWI's bodyguard? I mean, he was like there for him, ride or die.
What's that, Mike?
It was.
Mike, Was it Mike?
I don't know that, but I'm assuming that was Mike.
He was talking to me on the phone, and I thought
That was a pretty good
Mike in Cleveland.
it was a
impression.
good skit voice.
It was really good.
This man is out here promoting his new single as another person before 7 a.m.
Oh
I thought
my
it was-
goodness.
Oh, my goodness. It's interesting.
You know
That's-
who
so
he
now he's-
sounded like? He sounded like Big Orange Mac for a second. I thought that's who I
A
thought
little
it
bit
was.
more intensity though to the voice. You need to be talking to the other Titans fans out there because that's who's telling everybody that they don't want NWI on the roster.
I know.
Anyone else want to promote their new music this morning? 615-737-1045.
He found the secret to stick on the line, though. If you agree with Will, you will get to hang on just long enough to talk about your new hit
The
single.
snipe button was hovering there.
Goodness.
The safety was off.
As soon as he got to, and let me tell you one more thing. I was like, well, here we go. Let's get to the meat of this subject
I
real
was
quick.
like, let me tell you one more thing. Where is the dump button? That's what I was thinking. That's the one more thing I'm going to need.
I gotta get a 5
Unreal.
out of 5 right there because I was initially like, "Where are we going with this call?" I looked at Will like, "All right, be cool. Like, what we got going on here, man?" Oh, that was solid right there. That was shot.
615-737-1045. The big headline over the weekend as well. Titans joint practices canceled with the New England Patriots. We'll give you the details on that coming up next.
What's going on? 7 o'clock on the dot. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans got the win over the Vikings in Minnesota last Saturday, 24-16. Malik Willis was stagnant through the air, but efficient on the ground as he finished 10 of 17 with 85 yards passing, 91 yards rushing, 1 passing touchdown, and an interception. But the rushing attack was firing on all cylinders, rushing for a total of 281 rush yards. Julius Chestnut and Tajay Spears both had a touchdown on the ground. Here's how Spears sounded. Both running backs also finished with over 7 yards a carry. The Titans now pivot their practice schedule as the Patriots have pulled out of joint practices after a scary injury suffered by cornerback Isaiah Bolden in the Patriots-Packers preseason game, which caused the game to be suspended. Isaiah Bolden was released from the hospital yesterday and is said to be in good spirits. Nashville SC fell to Miami in penalty kicks as Messi scored in the 23rd minute, but Fafa Pico evened the score for the boys in gold. But they eventually fell to penalty kicks 10-9. SC is back in action at Geodis on September the 2nd against Charlotte FC. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome to your Monday morning on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, as the Tennessee Titans pick up their first win of preseason, and we react with you on the phone lines at 615-737-1045. We've got Ramon Foster, the one and only Kayla Anderson, the most interesting producer in the world, named Robert Walsh. My name is Will Bowling. We've got Leagues Cup final takeaways as well coming up later in the show this morning. But one thing, guys, we will not have is joint practices this week against the New England Patriots. Those officially canceled over the weekend. The news coming in wake of Saturday night's injury to Patriots corner Isaiah Bolden. The announcement was made initially at the update New England gave regarding his health when Bolden was released from the hospital. When they said he would return to Boston with the team. Bolden and the Patriots team more focused on his health. And the other reason why they canceled the remainder of their Week 2 matchup with the Packers when Bolden was injured with 10:38 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Super unique situation right there, man. Having them come together and jointly in the game, I thought was unique. I thought it was smart. Sometimes you just have to play something ahead of the game when it comes down to stuff like that. And I'm sure it probably startled their guys a little bit when it comes down to it, being a short week. And then, of course, them coming down here, dealing with the heat, I think would play a part in it. It was just probably smart. I think across the league right now, teams are going to start reevaluating joint practices anyway. All we've been hearing is fight there, fight here, and just how productive or non-productive it is. Mm-hmm. I think there would have been a lot to get out of this joint practice with the Titans as far as the Patriots go, because they know each other a good bit. I actually hate that they're not going to do it, but I get it.
Yeah, I was like, selfishly, I'm disappointed just because you love watching that. And we're not up there for the Minnesota Titans joint practices. So this was really a firsthand look at some of these guys continuing to progress in terms of winning positions, and just the battle in general is so fun to watch with two different teams, especially the Patriots and all the history that goes along with that. But, health first and foremost, obviously. And I think a big part of that, guys, was when something like that happens, and they were planning on leaving that night from New England to Nashville. So that was obviously disrupted, and I think there was just too much to do last minute, and they probably thought being at home and just staying here is probably the best bet. And now you're looking at the Titans injury situation with some of these injuries we've been seeing. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but they are a little banged up right now.
The Titans quickly went from having a surplus at wide receiver to having nearly not enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
They did.
Kyrus Jackson goes down. Kyle Phillips goes down in this one. Colton Dowell didn't even play in the preseason game. And then if DeAndre Hopkins is going to be on the shelf for the last preseason game also, with Treylon Burks and his knee injury, you're going to have to add more wide receivers now. Like Jacob Copeland, who was with you out of Maryland, the former Florida wide receiver, he was in Minnesota Vikings colors on Saturday. I mean, that's the kind of guy the Titans, I would imagine, would want back
If they could.
come back on the roster, because you just need people to catch passes from Malik Willis and maybe Will Levis
Yeah.
against the Patriots on Friday.
And that's what it was. So I'm with you, Kayla and Will. It really does come down to, I think, both teams having enough bodies and it not just being your ones the entire time. So, I mean, let's seriously look at Will Levis's situation also. You know, he went an entire game without playing. I'm not sure what the extent of his injury is. You lost the lineman, if I'm not mistaken, in that game, too, and Jalen Duncan exited early, went into the locker room. So there's a lot of falling pieces right now when it comes to depth and trying to have a productive practice. How you going to go into joint practice with a lot of guys that aren't there is what you're running into. You reeled off a few names, Will. Phillips, Dow, Duncan, Haskins. We don't know what that is. Kyrus Jackson. Like, there's a lot that's going into trying to find bodies to practice right now, especially coming into the last couple of weeks of what training camp is, too. I think it was smart, although, like you said, I would have loved to see these two teams go at each other, but it's just make the right decision on this. On top of this week is going to be one of the hottest weeks when it's come down to practice.
Yeah, it is.
And I know it's an outside sport, so it's irrelevant to what the actual cause is, but I think they're supposed to be hovering around 100 degrees for most days as far as heat index goes.
And I will be interested to see if we see any of Ryan Tannehill in this final preseason game. You guys probably heard Aaron Rodgers is set to play a little bit of the game for the Jets. So you're seeing, and that's not the only one, you're seeing some of these starting quarterbacks play a little in the preseason. I don't know what my thought is really on that. I'd like to see him at least for a series with that offensive line. Yeah. But I just don't know what they're going to do in terms of if Will Levis is available. Maybe they feel like he needs to play as much as he needs to just to get those reps. So
speaking of just that group, and I'm going to knock on wood when it comes to that first unit, man. They're gaining so much respect of the players on that team. Like after the Spears run.
First offensive line
unit. Yes. To clarify. First offensive line unit. After the run, Derek comes down and dap up Brewer and just hover around those guys. And just, I think they're starting to see a spark in that group, man. And I know it's the preseason, and I know there's a flow of the game that has to continue their progress as a group as far as that first offensive line goes. But they have done something in the past couple of weeks, y'all, that I don't know if we saw any last year. I don't know if we want to call it the play calling. I don't know if you say to yourself, the right amount of people have found themselves in positions that they're going to be very successful. Like Brewer going to center. On that, if y'all go back and look at that run, okay, as much flack as Brewer has gotten, is he big enough? Is he strong enough? Is he? Can he? Has been the conversation around Aaron Brewer. If he doesn't cut off that backside nose tackle, that is a tackle right there by the defensive lineman. Brewer is straining, and Tajay jumps over the defender and runs to a freaking touchdown. Yeah. Brewer is the one that really sprung that group. But not only just that, the right side of the offensive line seems to be gelling. And even in the second group, too, I thought they were really good. The strength seems to be is no longer run left. I think it may be run right now.
Okay.
It has looked that way.
Is that saying you, and I'm going to leave Peter out because I think Peter Skoronski has showed he's just fitting right in and has been able to transfer to the pro level at a pretty smooth rate. But for Andre Dillard, are you a little worried about him still, or do you feel like it's just a thing where they're just stronger on the right side?
No, I'm not out on him whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, Dillard has done his thing. I just think right now the runs are being called and the front side are moving bodies so well. But again, you can't run on the right side if the backside's not secure. So that's what I'm saying. Like that, between Brewer, between Skoronski, and between Dillard on the left side, their ability to cut off has been why those runs have been what they were, too. It is good to see. If I'm not mistaken, the first run that Tajay had last week was a cut back to the right side, too.
Yeah.
They are gelling, and that's why we had that conversation about, do you put NPF back into the lineup if he's, if this group is doing what it's doing right now? I have to ask you, just as blind as it is right now, y'all, what this group has done in the first couple games, Will, are you putting NPF back in the lineup?
In what week?
Right now.
7?
No, just right now. This is the third game. If he was supposed to play, are you putting NPF back in? I'm asking, what they've done so far, does NPF deserve to be back in the starting lineup of what this group has done, the first group?
Probably not.
Probably not. Kayla?
Yeah, it's hard because it's not game time yet.
It's not game
right?
time.
So I would probably say give him a chance to battle maybe a little, but
Okay.
I mean, if it looks good right now, which it's been better, then probably leave it alone. And that doesn't say a lot then when they're 7 games in, and if they're gelling, then it's really a problem.
No.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. And again, I don't want to put y'all on the spot with that, but that really, to me, I'm like, just leave it alone.
I think I would be more concerned now with Nicholas Petit-Frere becoming your insurance for Andre Dillard at left tackle. If you really want to keep Peter Skoronski at left guard the full season, if Chris Hubbard keeps playing well at right tackle, say we're through 4 weeks and Chris Hubbard isn't a total disaster,
Right.
I'm repping NPF at left tackle more, starting then.
That's fair.
Just
fair.
in just predicting that Dillard might fail, or just injury, or what?
Just
Andre
injury.
Dillard is still the weak link of that offensive line for me. He's the one I'm concerned the most about.
He gives up a pressure a good bit. He
Yeah.
does. He really does. And it looks, I'll say this in his defense real quick, Will. You have a point. It looks bad the way he gives up ground.
Yeah.
I will
It is.
not. That first passing play in the game, he's giving up ground. Like, it looks bad, but he finds a way to stop. It's like he pulls the E-brake up, the emergency brake up at the right point in time. It
Right.
does look bad, but I would even just go that. Just saying NPF he's a talent that you got to say. If we can't put him on the field at right, we got to find somewhere else to put him.
You endured the first year of having a bad rookie tackle just so you can get the year 2 jump.
Yeah.
Good tackles have really bad rookie years. And you endured that. You pushed through just to say, all right, we're gonna pay our dues here, and it's gonna pay off for us in year 2, and the guy gets suspended. Yeah. Couldn't have happened at a worse time. 615-737-1045, our number. Evaluating Malik Willis's play. How would you grade him? Plus what Mike Rabel had to say yesterday when he spoke to the media when asked the same question. Coming up next on our Mo and Kalen and Will. What's up? It's Will Bowling. You've heard me talk about how Lee Company is all you need for your home. Well, they're also all you need for your facility. That's right. They're expert technicians on the facilities team. They've got you covered not just for HVAC, but for plumbing and electrical too. From healthcare facilities to industrial, everything in between, Lee Company is available 24/7, 365 to keep your building running efficiently. So call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or contact them online at leecompany.com. Do what I do and trust the folks who have been trusted for nearly 80 years here in Middle Tennessee. You've seen the Lee Company vans driving around their fleet that's always making their way quickly to help the people of Middle Tennessee. Give them a call today at 615-567-1000. Whether you're a homeowner, facility manager, they are here for you. They're online at leecompany.com. The number again, 615-567-1000. Lee Company, all you need. Monday morning on RKW is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Our phone number, if you want to join in on the discussion, is 615-737-1045. What grade would you give Malik Willis for his play in Minnesota? That is the question we asked the people. It's 615-737-1045. This was, guys, a huge opportunity for Malik with Will Levis unavailable due to a lower body injury that, from Mike Rabel's perspective yesterday, does not sound serious. But I expected to have a stronger takeaway on Malik Willis today than I do. I thought going into this game, we were going to learn one way or another whether he was thriving or just surviving on this roster. I still don't really have a strong opinion on this game for him either way. I thought it was fine. I thought it could have been better, but it probably could have been worse too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on that one. I actually thought we would see more passing
I did too.
out of him.
Yes.
I was expecting that because I'm like, the length of the game, you got to let them air it out a little bit, even if it's just base routes. You know what I'm saying? But considering he was going with the 2 offensive line, 3 offensive line, you put him in a bad position as far as just exposing him to the pressure that Minnesota could have brought. Brian Flores is their defensive coordinator. They couldn't get after the quarterback at all. For a team that went 13-4 last year, their defense was atrocious. So I figured, Flores, as the new defensive coordinator, would light him up a little bit. And Malik did have some pressure on him. He did get out of some bad spots this weekend also while playing that game. The way I'll grade Malik is this. The things that you needed him to do, win the game, control the pace of the game, he did do well. What he didn't do well was get down when he needed to. Throwing that flailing interception that was so unnecessary at the time. And just, if we have to say this too, I don't know if he has the confidence in the coaches to actually allow him to just heave the ball down the field in the pace that was necessary too. So in an area where I thought growth was needed as far as his, retention of the offense, his progress as a quarterback in this league, he can throw the ball. Made some good throws in this game too. Chig had a couple of drops from him, which was very not concerning at all, but it's just like, we need at least 2 of those 3 back, as far as him being able to bring the ball in. But as I said, being a hero all the time when it comes down to his play, like shaking that off, I think we needed to be better in that. The interception again, as I bring up, and just the overall feel of getting out of the pocket and not taking those hits. Get out of bounds, even at the end of the game. When he took that dive, to get the first down and kind of close out the game. Like, we don't need you to be that guy all the time. You had the 10 yards to close out for the first down. Get down. It's a lot of him preserving himself where he has to get better. The play, though, was solid, as good as it could have been. If you asked him to win the game, to do the things he was doing well, he ran it well. He controlled the ball well. He preserved it as much as he possibly could, except for the interception.
Yeah, I would say I'd give it like a B+ because I don't think we learned anything extremely new in terms of growth with him. But the biggest thing is he was able to operate from start to finish. He was able to help the Titans win a game. And I know it's a preseason game, but it still counts in terms of just seeing that progress. A dub's better than a loss. I think that it hurt a little with the Chigakonkwo drops because maybe then he could have had, 2 more passes that were complete if Chig possibly could have done his job, which I think at least the one of those we could have said is a catch no matter what, right? Any other scenario. But we were still able to see Malik be Malik with the athleticism, like, being able to collect yards on the ground. And that's nothing surprising to us. I think what keeps holding some of us back a little is just like you said, not seeing as much passing as we'd like to at this point, because most of this game was predicated on the run no matter what, right? So it was almost a different type of game scenario too, where that wasn't what won them the game. It was definitely what they did on the ground on Saturday, which again, everybody's used to here in Tennessee. That's what they usually do. But I think it was more difficult than to take a real good idea of how Malik did. But I don't think he took a step back. I don't necessarily think he took a huge step forward, but I think he's still the number 2 on this team.
Yeah, he is. His pocket presence, though, Kayla, was so good. On one of those plays, he got pressured off the left side. That left 2 offensive line, too, is very concerning to me in a sense moving forward. They have to figure themselves out when it comes down to Jalen Duncan. And also, I think Jordan Rules has been playing left guard, too, at that second row. They have to get that figured out. It's too much pressure for week after week that's been going on that side of the offensive line. But all in all, I saw Malik feel pressure, move up in the pocket, not run out of the pocket, and deliver a ball for like a 4-yard check down, too. I also saw Malik make a very good quarterback decision. He had Julius Chestnut out on the right side, and there was a defender closing down on him fast. He could have delivered the ball for a completion, but he tucked it and ran it for about 12 yards. Again, he did what you needed him to do. The things that we've watched him fail at last year, I thought was solid. I will still just give him a B this week because of the interception, because of the way he laid his body out when at that position, when you're potentially the number 2 backup on this team at quarterback, you can't put yourself in harm's way. On the strip fumble that he had from the sack off the left side, I think that was Jordan Rose on that side. Pick that ball up, get it, and throw it away. He had a slip of the knee or the ankle.
I think he wanted to still make the play, right? Happen.
Yes, he did. He wanted to still make the play. Again, not every meal is a buffet.
Exactly.
Sometimes just get rid of it and move on to the next play. I love that phrase, moving forward.
It's a good phrase.
Yeah, no, you're
not
right.
every meal is a buffet.
Not every meal is a buffet, man.
With how much weight everyone in this building has lost, I think that's especially true for our teammates at 104.5 The Zone.
There we go. Shout out to the people, man. Shout out to the people. Rhett Bryan, by the way, if y'all hadn't seen him, looks amazing now.
Looking good.
Yeah, he is. I told him last week, Rhett, it's cool, man. Look like you got on your big brother shirts. It's time for you to go down a size, man, which is a good compliment, man.
Sure.
His clothes are big, which is always awesome right there. But, yeah, you're right. Not every meal is a buffet, and I think that's where Malik has to grow in that department, and that's fine too, right, y'all? I love the idea that he's a competitor.
Sure. And he played like I said, played the whole game. That wasn't really originally the plan either.
It wasn't. And to adjust to that, though, because I'm sure he went into like, well, Levis, he'll be fine. And then he's not playing. I think to put him up against the wall the way they did, and I say that, but no, any guy would want that opportunity to play the entire game. Again, I did think we would get more passing. But when you got 2 running backs and the quarterback averaging over 7 yards a carry,
that's the game.
You'd be a fool not to continue to run the ball.
Yeah.
Well, and as many opportunities as he had just scrambling.
Exactly.
10 of 17, 85 yards, was sacked 2 times, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Quarterback rating was only 67. I'm giving him a C+.
You giving him a C+?
I do.
Did you think he was scrambling too much? Would you have liked to seen him throw the ball away instead of trying to extend for that long some of those times?
I just want to see him throw the football in general. So in terms of versus throwing away, maybe not. You know, I'm good with making a play and getting downfield. He's obviously a very dynamic athlete. And I know someone out there is going to take this as, the Malik Willis hater hates Malik Willis again. Quarterback rating of 67. Okay, like that's not. Yes, there were drops. I totally agree with Kayla on that point. That he statistically would have had a better day had the receivers helped him out a little bit, and I think that's completely legit. So 67, that's kind of stat scouting a little bit, which you can't do. But I thought the interception was rough. I didn't see a massive improvement from the Bears game, and that's why I'm giving him a C+. He set his baseline in preseason with week 1, and there was not marked improvement from that, despite having a bigger opportunity to perform. Fair?
Yeah,
Yep.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. On Twitter, Ellis gives Malik Willis a C. Says he's QB3 on most teams, just can't read the field and manage the game at this point. I thought he managed the game decently well.
Yeah.
Second half, I thought he managed the game well. I'd give his second half a B or B+.
Me too.
Blake says D for Malik Willis.
D?
Ooh, harsh critic here.
Blake, I need you to call in.
Blake, call in.
I need just a little explanation of that one.
Eric in the F&M Bank chat says Malik was a B- during the first half. Chig drops are an issue, so taking those out of the equation, his miss to NWI was bad.
Yeah, it was. That, and again, understanding the layout of defenses in the NFL. that linebacker just dropped back into his zone. Malik should have known that, hey, they're in the zone. I can't just toss this ball up. This isn't a situation where I need to be a hero. Again, if it's not there for you, don't throw it blindly. And I felt like, again, he delivered it off his back foot, and it was just like, oh, he'll be there. No, he's not. He's not going to be there. So that was always unique, man.
So there's our assessment. What about Mike Vrabel, who spoke to the media yesterday? Here's Vrabel on Malik Willis's day in Minnesota.
I mean, I saw him play fast, and when he felt like the pocket wasn't there. We still need to stop switching the football, which we've told him, and we'll continue to rep. I think maybe for quarterbacks that don't scramble as much in practice or aren't going to get hit in practice, I'm just trying to think about how we rep that. A guy taking off and having the ball in his right hand and then running and trying to keep him from switching it. And Malik knows that. Like this is not a secret, but played fast. When he took off, was decisive. Continue improving with the timing of things and making sure that he's going through his progression so that his timing is there. I'm sure he'd like to have the one back from Nick Westbrook. Probably just pulled the string on a little bit, but also had some balls that again, Chig knows he needs to come down with. And then just the coordination of the interception of making a great decision. If we need that ball thrown in the alley, then if the receiver's for whatever reason not in the alley, not forcing it in there and knowing it's cover two and just finding a place to get rid of the football so that we're not putting it in harm's way.
So that was Mike Vrabel yesterday about Malik Willis. And Kayla, I feel like recently he's been pretty insightful, honestly, in breaking down some of his players in preseason this year.
Usually he'll kind of just give you the basics, right? And I thought he really described a lot of the stuff that we were talking about just now in our breakdown. Not saying that we're coaches or anything, but he had mentioned, the Chig drops that could have been counted.
Right.
He also kind of said what Ramon was saying. If there's a situation where it's just not going to happen, just get down. Right. Don't try to scramble or do anything where you're going to lose even more yards or make even more mistakes. And that's been Mike Vrabel's biggest thing, I think, is just taking care of the football. No matter what, he's always been big on that. But with Malik, with the interception that I know he'd probably love to have back, you just have to make smart decisions. You have to continue to not try to pressure things, but still be able to go through the reads like he said. I think that all what Coach said is completely 100% true. And now hopefully we'll get to see a little more progression in that Game 3 against New England on Friday.
615-737-1045 is our number if you want to join in on the discussion. Let's go to Titans Bill, who is here to react to Malik Willis's day. What's up, Bill?
Good morning. How are you all doing?
Good.
We're good.
Yeah, well, great. I'm going to give him an A. I thought he played quite well. Of course, that interception, he sort of needed to use his head for something besides a hat rack on that play. Gentlemen and ladies. But outside of that, an A.
Okay.
All right.
Titans Bill.
He was on a number scale there. Respect it.
I mean,
did he say 8 out of 10?
He said an A.
Oh, okay. I thought he was on a number scale. My bad.
Yeah, I think an A is a little much.
An A, yeah. Well,
I think an A for a 85-yard game is that we got to raise the standard of what an A is. I mean, 85 yards. If you're going a grade per yard, that's a B. Just on
right.
85 out of 100.
Yeah, A's a very gracious grade.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could have had Bill as my teacher in school.
Grading on a curve there.
Chris in the borough up next, 615-737-1045. What's up, Chris?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Yep.
A couple of things since y'all gone on the grading scale for Malik. I think it was a B. The interception was a bad interception, but the linebacker turned his back to him. And as a quarterback, he would have thought that linebacker was following out, and then he just turned around and caught the ball. I mean, so it's a bad interception. He should have seen that. But, B, I really think that he's progressed a lot. He's seeing his second and third and fourth options under fire, of course. So I would give him a solid B. My question, though, is I do think that all the, I guess this really is a statement, all the questions about Spears' knee should be gone. And do you think that Haskins makes this team in any way, shape, form, or fashion? Now I'll hang up, listen. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks, Chris. Guys?
Wow.
I love that. He's like, all the questions, and there were so many. And it's like, he doesn't have ACLs. That's what we think. Who cares? Because he's doing what he's doing. He did that at Tulane. So I'm with you. Like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
And until something happens that proves me otherwise, that man's the man. As goes for Hassan Haskins, guys, I can honestly say I have no clue at this point. All I know is the availability is the best availability, and he has not been available as of late. And there's obviously some legal issues that are going on. We don't know the details of how that will shake out.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I'm at least going to say there are going to be 3 running backs.
Yeah.
It's going to be Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears, and in my opinion, Julius Chestnut.
Would it surprise you guys to see him end up on injured reserve? That way they can kind of wait. They would save a roster spot, and that would allow them a little bit of time to wade through this legal issue he's in. And you could always release someone from injured reserve if he's found to be guilty of a heinous crime. So like that way you'd save yourself a roster spot and maybe be able to delegate that to a position of higher need.
I guess the issue with that is we don't know what his injury is or how serious it is. So to put him on injury reserve is I think pushing it. I think he's at a point to where you almost risk losing him if you do have to cut him, just simply because you got a very solid 1, 2, 3 as it stands. Like if you decide to go with, of course, Derrick, Tajay, and Julius, then odd man out is him. And I look at his situation and say he didn't have many reps last year. Yes, he's a kick returner. He will have value and get picked up potentially, but it's not guaranteed a guy like him is going to, move on to another team. You can put him on practice squad if that's the case. You still can. I like the idea that you can have him in the bag right there. Will he make it right now?
Not looking like it.
Not after what happened last night, especially when Julius Chestnut also blocks well too.
My hunch is no.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hunch is no on Hassan Haskins, but we'll see. Running back is one of those positions, guys, too, where if Julius Chestnut can fill 2 or 3 roles for you, that's the spot that allows you to keep a third quarterback.
Yeah.
True.
Which is looking very likely at this point, just simply based off of Will Levis not being completely available in preseason. Yeah. And I think Malik Willis has earned it.
He has.
I think so, too.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's more of that, right? He's earned this one now.
He's gotten better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
He's been available.
Yep.
I still think he's not a starting quarterback in this league, but when you talk about Rand Carthon saying we want the best 53 players, I trust Malik Willis more than I trust a lot of other guys battling for spots on other places in this roster.
And I trust the growth he's had. I think he'll continue to do that because he's a guy who's fought for it to this point. He's not going to back down. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, I'm backing away a little bit. Right. No, I think he's always going to want to be like, I need to get better. I need to do this better. So,
yeah, I'm with
you
on that.
I feel confident in that.
615-737-1045 is our number if you want to join in on the discussion. More on the offensive line coming up. And exactly what Ramon said earlier, we'll reset part of that conversation about the starting 5 and how long they played. What's the expectation for seeing the starting 5 offensive linemen this Friday against New England? That's next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
It's Ramon Foster for Two Rivers Ford, and the F-150 has been the best-selling truck for 46 years. And Two Rivers Ford has been leading the F-150 Ford dealer in our community for 40 years also. Two Rivers Ford has a huge selection of F-150s on the lot right now, and they're all priced below MSRP. And I know that's a shocker for you, but guess what? That's the way Two Rivers Ford rolls, okay? You see, Two Rivers Ford always sells for the best price. Their trucks are clearly marked. They have no gimmicks. They have no shenanigans. They have an honest deal and a speedy process for you when you're ready to buy. And also, I have to mention also, Two Rivers Ford has non-commissioned salespeople, so you never never have to feel pressured into buying anything. You see something you like, you get that thing. If you don't like anything, walk off the lot. It's fine because they're non-commissioned anyway. And there's a reason Two Rivers Ford has been the best in business since 1983. So if you're in the market for F-150, you can call, click, or simply go see my friends at Two Rivers Ford. They're located in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
Ramon, Kayla, and Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. Coming up in 15 minutes, a recap of the biggest worldwide sporting event ever in Nashville. Messi versus Nashville SC lived up to the hype on Saturday night here in Nashville. We'll get to that coming up at 8 o'clock. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join in on the discussion. A tweet to the show that you can also give at Ramon Kayla Will that I think is a good question, guys. From Braves fan since 89. Go Braves. Watching Malik, and I'm not an expert, I couldn't tell if the pocket was collapsing too quickly or if he wasn't going through his progressions or if it was a little of both. Thought he looked very quick to take off and run. From y'all's perspective, what would you say to that question/comment? Was the pocket collapsing too quickly or was he escaping too quickly?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I will say this, though. If you go back and look at the tape, and I'm sure a lot of people do, you will actually see him move up in the pocket. You will actually see his footwork, him keeping the ball up high and delivering passes and stuff like that. This is also the other thing, too, y'all. Like, we got to understand, like, one of his strongest strengths is his legs. Having the ability to use those, something that I've honestly said time and time again, I'd love to see Ryan Tannehill do that a little bit more. When it comes down to extending plays, that is an X factor when it comes down to Malik's game. If he's been safe and smart with his ability to run downfield and getting down and stuff like that, the pocket was collapsing. Like I told you, I'm concerned about the left side when he's in there, just with the second team, because it does get kind of problematic for him and the protection. I did see him have pressure come off the left side, him dip his left shoulder, move up in the pocket, and scramble around and deliver a pass down the field. That is some good, savvy stuff. It's still, again, some growth when it comes down to what we're expecting out of Malik. I think he checked the boxes on a lot of things, considering that pressure that he was seeing. But, yes, it's easy for him to run the ball. Yeah. And as long as he's getting yards for you, I ain't got a big problem with it.
And Rabel said that too. I think he actually thought he did a really good job of extending plays when he needed to. While there were a couple moments he probably didn't need to do that much.
Yeah.
And just kind of, get down. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think it's easy for us to pick that apart too, because this is a passing league. We're looking for the quarterback who just throws the ball, right? That's what we all kind of want in the National Football League nowadays. Now, Malik is just a different type of quarterback. He is learning how to, not run first on every single play, but we can't take that away from him being the strong point. Like, he's an athlete.
Yeah. And
just like Lamar Jackson, and I'm not comparing him to Lamar Jackson, but Lamar uses his legs. Like, that's part of his game, right? He's obviously a starting quarterback in the league. That's something that Malik is trying to continue to work at. So to pick that apart and cutting off his legs and saying, I don't think that's fair. He needs to continue to work on the passing game, continue to go through his reads, but we can never say take away that athleticism.
Sure. I got one player that comes to mind, RG3.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
When he decided he wanted to be a straight passer, it took away from his entire game.
Came from an Art Briles system, just like Malik Willis at Liberty as well, under Hugh Freeze. RG3 coming from Baylor.
Yeah.
Same coaching tree in college.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the only thing I'll say when it comes down to us. Hey, Malik, is he leaving too soon? Like, that is the advantage, too. That's also one of the reasons why you draft. And that's also why in today's game, almost every quarterback, hey, look at Zach Wilson this past weekend.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Making it happen with his legs. That's the new quarterback.
One more question for you, turns a lot offensive line. Is that tougher for a quarterback to also get a read on his line if it's changing, like, throughout the game? Because you had the series with the starting for longer than we thought it would be. But from there on out, when you're seeing some different guys come in, is that at all something that would add to the situation?
No, I just think the quarterback is conscious about, like, oh, Lord, I got to get rid of the ball a little bit sooner. So, yeah, I don't think it should affect his play, but consciously, I think we all know when we're up against what we're used to, meaning protection. So, yeah, I know it played a part. But, again, he evaded a sack
Yeah.
or two in the pocket. He stepped up
Right.
when necessary, too.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Mr. Jones in the chat says, and the FNM Big chat says, I feel like Malik would play a lot better if he knew he had the freedom to run. I think he did have the freedom to run in this game, clearly. I mean, he ran the ball, 11 times for 91 yards, and says, let him play like Lamar. Guys, I don't play Madden if you want to use Malik Willis like Lamar. Turn on your Xbox. As long as Mike Vrabel is here, you will never see a spread offense to that level of what the Baltimore Ravens are doing. It's just not going to happen.
Lamar is just Lamar, y'all. It's like somebody trying to have somebody play like
tough.
Vic.
Or Derrick Henry. That'd be like
Henry.
somebody saying, well, let Najee Harris be like Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Let Nick Chubb just be Derrick Henry.
It's just like,
If I was the quarterback, I would simply just complete every pass. Why is he throwing all these incompletions, guys? Come on.
yeah.
You don't build an offense around a backup quarterback. Ever.
You don't.
And that's the reason why I still believe by week 4 or 5, Will Levis will be quarterback 2. I mean, he's run an NFL system in college. Malik Willis is going to need more than just 1 year and then a second training camp to figure out how to move an offense around. Eric says Tim Kelly did it with Deshaun Watson. Yeah, Malik Willis isn't Deshaun Watson.
You also know.
Not even close.
No. He was running for his life down there.
Respectfully. 615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up next, a little recap on what I think is one of the craziest sporting events I have ever been to in Nashville. I'm saying that for the second straight time, not just for what happened on the field, but what was happening in the stadium when Nashville took on Lionel Messi and Inter Miami. Coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson with Arbor Art Tree and Shrub certified arborist Dean Glasscock and his crew are as professional as it gets. They do it all, guys, including providing a top-notch 7-step application spray program. They can come by every 6 weeks to monitor, make sure that your trees and shrubs are protected from the influx of insects here in the Middle Tennessee area. I know many of you deal with that who are trying to keep your trees and shrubs in tip-top shape. They can also prevent and control disease with the fertilizing of your trees and shrubs for healthy growth. That's something that they are the experts on. It's the easiest thing you'll do to take care of your landscaping and have everything looking great and really prepared for when winter comes. Arbor Art Tree and Shrub also hiring right now. Dean and his great crew, if you want to join them, well, give them a call. They have over 29 years of experience with great benefits, hiring at all positions right now. So check them out. It's Arbor Art Tree and Shrub for exceptional service every single time. Call 299-9999 or go online to arborart.net.
What's going on? It's 8 o'clock on the dot from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans got the win over the Vikings in Minnesota 24-16. Malik Willis was a little stagnant through the air, but was efficient on the ground. He finished the game 10 of 17 with 85 passing yards, 91 yards rushing, 1 passing touchdown, and 1 interception. The rushing attack was firing on all cylinders, though, and produced a total of 281 rushing yards, with Julius Chestnut and Tajay Spears both having a touchdown on the ground and finishing with over 7 yards a carry. This run by Chestnut definitely helped the average.
Willis gives Chestnut on the right. Here he comes. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and he is taken down at the 4-yard line.
The Titans now have to pivot their practice schedule as the Patriots have pulled out of joint practices after a scary injury suffered by cornerback Isaiah Bolden, which caused the Patriots-Packers preseason game to be suspended. Isaiah Bolden has been released from the hospital yesterday morning and is said to be in good spirits. Nashville SC fell to Miami in penalty kicks. Messi scored in the 23rd minute, but Fafa Pico evened up the score for the boys in gold later in the game, but SC eventually fell in penalty kicks 10-9. SC is back in action at Geodis on September the 2nd against Charlotte FC. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
$8 a.m. in Nashville, Tennessee. We welcome you in to Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors right here on 104.5 The Zone. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. Alongside NFL veteran Ramon Foster, broadcast veteran Kayla Anderson, and the most interesting producer in the world, Robert Walsh. My name is Will Bowling. More takeaways from Titans and Vikings coming up. In 20 minutes, we'll hear from Mike Rabel and what he had to say specifically about one player who was not available and when asked about it yesterday, just said, quote, he was unavailable. We'll get to that coming up. 615-737-1045, how you join us. Guys, Lionel Messi, Inter Miami, and Nashville SC lived up to the hype on Saturday night. It was electric in Geodis Park in front of a sellout crowd. It goes to 11 rounds of penalty kicks. These go to 11. Goes to 11 rounds of penalty kicks. And Inter Miami outlasts NSC 10-9.
You ended on a keeper versus keeper situation, which is unreal. And you, of all people, who cover soccer, who love the sport, and I like the sport too, but it's just such a rare situation in that type of, high caliber game or match, as you'd like to say. I definitely was watching both Titans and Nashville SC versus Inter Miami because how could you not, right? And at the end of the game, I'm not joking, guys, because Titans had just ended and they went into PKs. My breath, I think I was holding my breath a majority of the time as they were taking the penalty kicks. It was just incredible. And the atmosphere, shout out to Nashville SC fans and supporters because it was what it seemed like, at least from watching it, an absolutely phenomenal atmosphere.
Yeah, that's what I took from after the game was done on Saturday. I went up to the booth and I'm sitting down, and of course everybody I think affiliated with Nashville, honestly just fans distantly of like soccer, understood all eyes were on Nashville and everybody had their phones out. I ended up pulling up the Apple app to watch it, and it was in penalty kicks and just watching it. The stress, I couldn't imagine. The stress, I could not imagine. Seeing Messi's kick, though, too, so nonchalant. Is that the way he always does it?
It is. So the past couple of years, this has become a trend in soccer of the little stutter step. So you kind of hop up to the ball, you land on your plant leg, and it forces the goalie to make a decision. And whichever way the goalie dives, at that point, he doesn't have time to react if you hit it with enough pace. Mm-hmm. And he can dive one way, and then you just quickly just poke it the other way. Jorginho in the Euros made that really, really common. And when Italy won the Euros and Lucas Panzica was given a title for his people. But no, Lionel Messi taught those Inter Miami teenagers how to take penalties in the month that he's been there. Because they had two teenagers and one 20-year-old take pens, and they all made them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one guy who missed for Miami, 31-year-old Victor Ulloa. And then for Nashville, Elliot Panico, the number 2 goalie for Nashville SC, had been the guy through a lot of the tournament. Joe Willis, the starting goalkeeper, had some personal issues that he had to tend to, family things going on. So Elliot started against Club America, in the round of 16 in this thing, and made the most of his opportunity. Was absolutely outstanding. Or I beg your pardon, he came in late against Club America, started against Minnesota United, and was outstanding. So anyone insinuating that he blew it or he wasn't good enough, he's the reason why Nashville was still in this game, because he'd made 2 penalty kick saves in the tournament and made a third against Miami. It was unbelievable. Guys, Lionel Messi in person is just different.
Sure.
Is it really?
It is. I've never seen an athlete like that in person, and may never again.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way he just glides and every touch he has on the ball, like there's just this murmur around the crowd, and just this it is unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah. And this is a guy who is 36 years old, so he's clearly played a majority of his career. And to come over to the worst team in MLS in Miami, in Inter Miami.
Yeah.
Inter Miami.
Yep.
And turn it around with just simply being Messi, and to go win their first ever trophy, because that club is still recently new, came here the same time as Nashville SC entered the MLS. That is truly incredible. And I don't want to take anything away from Nashville SC. That's, I think, the biggest thing. You knew that Inter Miami was going to get all the attention no matter what, because they have Lionel Messi. But give Nashville SC some major props from, first of all, just getting to that point, but representing well in that stadium, and just that soccer is big here and people are embracing it. But the performance, and they stuck with it in the second half. They kind of just, like you said, Will, when we were previewing this game, they stuck with their identity in that second half. And I feel like they kept it a game.
It was unique to me, just simply because watching how Messi actually looked like he became teammates with his actually team.
Right.
At the end of the thing, I don't know what his relationship was in this time span of them, acquiring him. But seeing him at the end of the game, I was like, oh, now they're a team. I don't know what Miami's going to be moving forward, but apparently they've been on a tear since he signed, or at least he has been on the tear. And one player can just flip the entire MLS on his back. That right there was kind of cool to watch. And just the excitement. Like, I feel like we felt the buzz of Nashville and Minnesota just simply because it was such a big event. Like, I'm seeing all kind of staffers talking about the game, asking about the game, and I'm sure everybody was in tune to it. People asking, how are we going to get the score on the sideline? I'm just like, it was that type of event. I personally do understand that this may have been the biggest event the city of Nashville has had. Yes, the draft is one thing. That was a few days, but for a one-night only event, a one-night only, as far as ticket prices, as far as capacity, as far as people just showing up just to tailgate for a football game. Think about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember having conversations with folks. One of my former, Alejandro Villanueva, he's international. He knows soccer. He played it in his youth, all those types of things. He's like, just watch, man. Soccer's going to take. I'm like, oh, whatever, man. We got football here. And football's in a real good, healthy place. American football, that is. But the idea that this sport was just really put on HGH, put on steroids, put on. I'm saying it in a sense of just explaining how big of a injection of Messi to the MLS and to the United States has done for them.
Right.
Popularity has to go up from there.
Well, that's what it is, too. When you are able to bring over a big name like that and insert it in soccer here in the MLS, which isn't by any means the biggest league here. I mean, it's down in terms of that, like rank-wise. But that is only going to help the sport. Like, not just worldwide, it is what it is, but stateside, that's going to help boost the sport even more and get people more excited for it. And that's why everybody was talking about it on Saturday night. And just the fact you have a guy like Lionel Messi being so, I think he's such a great teammate too, right? You saw him come in and join this team, and he's the alpha dog, but it's almost like he's not going to be like that dude, though. Like, he gave up his, I believe, his captain's armband
for DeAndre Yedlin to be able to lift the trophy.
That was
former
incredible.
Oh, man.
Messi was made captain, and DeAndre Yedlin had been the captain of Inter Miami, U.S. international, who's played across the pond and as well here. And cool to see that. And honestly, it's been really cool to see the way Lionel Messi has embraced all of his opponents after the game. He literally shook the hand and gave a pat on the back to every single Nashville SC player who came up to him after the game and is focused on what his impact is. I think from Nashville's perspective, guys, not only did Nashville play Inter Miami closer than any team played him in the tournament, Nashville deserved to win this game the way they played. Gary Smith, the manager, said it after the game. They outplayed Inter Miami. And one moment of Messi just on his left foot, just top bins, was unbelievable. He had 5 guys right around him. Perfectly defended. Walker Zimmerman even poked the ball away from him. And he's still, it's like it's attached to his foot. Like he's not made a mistake. He had one free kick go way over the goal, and the entire stadium laughed at him for it. But Nashville SC should feel outstanding about the way it played on the field. The fans should also pat themselves on the back for giving him the most rude introduction that he's been given so far. Nashville SC fans were more hostile towards Lionel Messi than Philadelphia fans were. And that is no exaggeration whatsoever. It was to the point where national reporters were like, oh, why do they keep booing Messi? And I'm going to save you're not that guy for tomorrow, but to Jenny Chu, the national reporter, like, I mean, come on, what are we, like, respectfully, Jenny does a great job, but, like, why are we going after fans for booing an opponent? That's kind of what sports are supposed to be about.
This is normal? That's normal? That's supposed to happen?
What do you mean?
Well, when a star like Messi comes in, like the booing that happens.
Of course.
Well, it's your house. When it comes down to it, he might be the greatest in the world at what he does, but this is your territory. You're trying to win something here. Like, give him hell.
All right.
I don't mean to go after soccer reporters because, you know, they're covering our sport and helping grow it. So Jenny does a good job. But the insinuating that we shouldn't be booing an opponent is wild to me. And I think fans were outstanding. Outstanding. Everywhere he's gone, guys, it's been a pro-Messi, pro-Miami crowd. This was overwhelmingly a pro-Nashville SC crowd. And when Fafa Pico scored, I know it was changed to an own goal. I don't care. When Fafa Pico put it in, it was nuts in that building. Absolutely crazy. Wow.
And Nashville does have a chance to enact just a little bit of revenge, though, in a couple days, right? Don't they play Miami again? But the stakes are noticeably lower. But
August 30th.
A chance to play Messi again.
In Drive Pink Stadium, October 30th, next Wednesday. Of course, that'll be heard right here on 104.5 The Zone. Lucas Panzica will have the call. And then Nashville goes to Atlanta this weekend to play in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and Jaleel and I will be down there to call that one.
Do they have a chance, real quick, Nashville Inter Miami, at playing for an MLS Cup this year?
It's going to be tough.
Okay, that's what I thought, because this is a whole different ballgame now.
They are in last place.
Yep.
So there is a very good chance Miami doesn't even make the playoffs.
Crazy.
They can still play they're in the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup, which is in 2 days. So a quick turnaround for them after spraying champagne across, the locker room the other day. But they will very likely not make the playoffs. But we'll see. Anything's possible. I didn't think they'd win the whole tournament either. So we'll see. So there you go. That was Talking Soccer. 615-737-1045. Big topics from Mike Vrabel's Sunday press conference when we come back, including one player who's only played 7 snaps in preseason, and Mike Vrabel's answer was about as short as his play on the field has been so far through 2 games. That's next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
I'm Liz Allison, the Zone's NASCAR Insider. If there's one thing I know, it's cars. If you're in the market for a new car, let my friends at Nissan of Rivergate take care of you. I can assure you they will do that and give you the best care and the best prices in town. I know this because I've bought 2 cars from them myself. I have a Nissan Armada and love it. All the comforts of a car with all the extra space of an SUV. Nissan of Rivergate is located at 1550 Gallatin Pike North and online at nissanofrivergate.com.
Well, that's right. The summertime blues are coming to an end because college football is back this weekend. Happy week 0 to all who celebrate. I know we celebrate here on RKW, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. Anybody going to be in the house at First Bank Stadium on Saturday for Vandy in Hawaii?
Ooh, I will not be, but I will probably watch a little bit on SEC Network.
I'm gonna watch. I'm with you. I'm definitely not gonna be down there for that one.
Is the stadium good to go?
No.
Well, I mean, it's good to play. Depends on what your definition of good is. The end zones are gone, and they're going to bring in a jumbotron.
Okay.
We haven't really gotten into this yet, and yes, we will get to the Mike Vrabel press conference stuff from yesterday. But the fact that Vandy decided to renovate both of their end zones at the same time, to me, is the wrong decision. I know that you've got a lot of things to do to catch up in order to catch up to all the other facilities that you are far behind on in the SEC. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Tennessee is undergoing massive renovations right now, too, and you would never know it if you're watching on television, that they're putting in about the same amount of money to their stadium. Yes, I know. Neyland Stadium started at a much, much, much higher point than what First Bank Stadium and Vanderbilt Stadium is. But there are ways that you can spread out that amount of renovations over 3 to 4 seasons and still have end zones where fans can watch the game.
Yeah.
I think a big part of that, too, is because there has been so much, like, sitting back before Candace Lee got there and they decided to do this Vandy United. It was almost like you'd been waiting and waiting, and then it was the need, I feel like, for them to just have to do this all at once, and it puts them in this type of situation where now they're kind of like scrambling to get everything done.
Yeah.
And I know it's not even going to be complete 100% this year. So that's always a tough situation because I feel like they had been behind the times so much that then it was like, got to do it all at once.
Yeah. And that's the thing. They're pressed for time right now when it comes down to them getting it done. Again, I think they said in the beginning it was going to be a situation where it's going to take time. It just sucks because, again, we got to see it. You guys are in SEC school, and the fact that it's so massive of a renovation, I think is what's making it a black eye to what's going on. But, again, you got to do what you got to do. The work schedule is what it is in today's climate of access to materials and pricing and whatnot. If they didn't do it now, it's probably going to be 3 times expensive down the line. So we'll see how it goes. But, again, like you said, Will, UT got a lot going on right now, too.
That's right.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
I mean, there are variables you can control to make that stadium more livable during the season. Mm-hmm. And there is precedent for renovations happening in an end zone like mid-season. And obviously Vandy's not alone in this, but they are alone in having a 28,000-seat stadium in an SEC home venue.
That's tough right there.
It's pretty bad.
And I know the crowd ticket sales, concessions, that's part of money making too when it comes down to football games. $28,000 handicaps the heck out of you, man.
It's just
28,000 people, I mean.
It's one of those things where perception is unfortunately reality in the college football arms race for facilities. And ultimately, it's going to work for Vanderbilt in the long run, but it feels like they could have managed this much better in the short term as well, where you don't have it look like you've just got dirt in the background of both of the end zones. It's fine in one of the end zones. I think they did too much at once in both of the end zones at the same time.
I also saw, too, I know we brought him up, Josh Pate. Also had a clip
247 Sports.
Yeah, 247 Sports. Had a clip of Neyland this past weekend talking about some visiting side. Did you see that going viral on social media?
Essentially, Josh put out a video of him following the Florida staffers after Florida's lost to Tennessee in Neyland Stadium last year and said, paraphrasing, we should do a documentary series on the decrepit old parts of stadiums for visiting teams. And a lot of the reactions were like, good, that stadium's over 120 years old. I hope it's as bad as it can be for these visiting teams.
It was me.
Who is it? There's one team that has a pink locker room.
Notre Dame, I think, has one.
Wow.
I don't think is it really? I thought it was Iowa. I'm sure they have some. I mean, you played there, obviously. You know better than me.
Notre Dame's super small. They have no doors on the stalls inside the locker room.
Yeah.
And the showers were cold. And I remember that one specifically because it was up there at South Bend, and I was just like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, Iowa's the one that's pink, for sure. The visiting team locker room, I think, has since been updated. But yeah, when you Google visiting locker rooms, college football, Notre Dame is like the first one. Notre Dame and Iowa are like the first two that pop up.
I'll tell you another terrible one was Cal. And
Really?
Berkeley, oh my gosh, theirs was terrible. You go up these rickety steps to get to the friggin' locker room. But again, I expected it as a player. I figured the showers weren't going to be hot. I figured we wouldn't have doors on stalls. I figured that we would be doubled up as far as locker room space goes. That is the world of visiting locker rooms. The one other time, as far as on the NFL level, where it was really nice, I think there's a standard, except for Tampa. Tampa's visiting locker room is horrendous for an NFL stadium.
Okay.
It is by far one of the worst I've ever been in my life. You're underneath the canopy of the steps.
You had that twice in college, too, in the Outback Bowl.
Yes, we did. We did, man. Yeah. It is bad. But in the world of sports, I expect visiting locker rooms to be bad. They always are. So when Josh Pate put that out, I was just like, it's kind of the unseen things of sports. Is visiting locker room going to have smaller lockers, less space, and cold showers?
I've got a couple of opportunities for Vandy to fix this if you guys would like to hear them.
Robert's entrepreneurial spirit just warms my heart.
He's very good at that.
Innovation that excites.
So three options here for Vandy. One, which I think would be the most expensive but would also probably look the best, they take a green screen and tarp off the areas that are in construction, and they can fill those in with like the NCAA created crowd. So like everyone will look normal until you get to those sections of the end zone, and then it will just be computer people like jumping and fist pumping at random points of the crowd. My second option would be to get some Vandy-inspired, wacky, inflatable, arm-flailing tube men. So then, I mean, that'll be the most excited fans that Vandy's have had in their stadium in a while. Like the whole time, they're going to be up and giving you energy. So that would just give a nice boost to the crowd. Or do you remember the cutouts they used to use in COVID? It was like people.
Yes.
Like Wake Forest famously allowed you to send in pictures of yourself, and they put you in the crowd. If you've got any leftovers from that, I don't know if there's a equipment room that's just filled to the brim with cutouts of random Vandy fans. Bring them all back. Stack them all out there, and that lets people feel like they're part of the action. So all of those things could kind of bounce Vandy's home atmosphere back just a little bit from the construction.
Do you guys remember during the pandemic, not only the cutouts, but when they were playing baseball over in Japan, you started to see what their crowds were really like, and they had like electronic things. It was crazy. I was just picturing that as you were saying that, Bert, of like the green screens.
Yeah.
You know?
The Predators had cutouts in the stadium over here too.
A ton of them.
But y'all remember, or Bert, if they have enough in the budget already too, you remember WWE, what they were doing on Raw?
Oh, yeah.
They had the big screen the same way the bubble was in the NBA with fans watching at home.
Oh, that's right.
That's another option depending on budget.
I like that.
Forgot about
You
that.
could put all the famous Vandy alumnus, or Will knows the
alumni.
correct. There you go. Thank you.
That was a big thing in my high school before you graduated, just real quick, they would give a speech of like, if you are a male and you are singular, it is it's not alum, it's alumnus. If you're a female, it's alumna. The plural is alumni. Alum is not a word.
Okay, so they could show
Continue.
famous Vandy alumni on that green screen.
They could. That's solid right there. I mean, and the fine green material. I mean, we're out of pink because of Barbie. There's got to be plenty.
Well, I got one right on my mic. So
You
if
never
need
know
some
when
pink,
the Barbie marketing team is going to
My
pop up again with
goodness.
another partnership opportunity. Though.
just at me, I'll sell it.
Oh, by the way, I did go see Oppenheimer yesterday.
I heard it was a bit slow. Not as good as
Who said that?
it was just a friend of mine who saw it.
Okay.
Thought it was going to be a little bit more to it.
It is kind of long, though. Maybe they just meant it stretched
I do
out.
not recommend ordering a large Pepsi if you are going to see Oppenheimer. That is my takeaway from the movie. The last 30 minutes were me just squirming, trying to hold it in.
Oh, you drank it all?
I did drink it all.
Well, you had a vessel then.
Well, they told me. Okay,
you gonna stop me from seeing it.
Dwight Schrute, the back of the car on the way to Stamford,
Gatorade
Connecticut. No, I get there and I was like, hey, can I do like a medium popcorn with butter? Which I love how I just say butter like you would a side. on a normal order. Like, yeah, I'll get like a burger and fries. Yeah, I'll have a popcorn with butter, please. On the popcorn, preferably. And then I was like, a medium Coke. They're like, oh, we only have large cups. I was like, sure. Then they charged me for a large. I was like, wait, this was a marketing ploy. It's a really smart one, but come on. Anyway, it was
Sorry,
good.
we only have the most expensive options for you.
You could have played this Mike Rabel clip about Monty Rice thousands of times during Oppenheimer. It was seamless transition. Not really. Monty Rice has played 7 snaps in preseason, and he did not play in Minnesota. This was Mike Vrabel when asked about him yesterday.
I mean, he's not available. When he's ready to go, he'll be back out there.
Mike Vrabel, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo-wee.
When he's available, he'll be back out there.
That was it.
This is not a good situation for Monty Rice, who, again, we talk about taking advantage of opportunities, especially in that linebacker room this year. We had mentioned coming into this season, yeah, you get Azeez Al-Shaair, but this was a time for Monty Rice to really solidify himself as a starter, and now it looks to be going a little bit to the wayside. I don't know if he's dealing with any types of injuries, but it does sound like there's a little bit of frustration with Mike Vrabel, as we've seen guys like Dr. Gibby, Jack Gibbons, and even Chance Campbell kind of taking full advantage of their opportunities. And it makes me look at this class, guys, of 2021, in which Monty Rice was a part of. Let me remind you, he was a 3rd-round pick. You've got Caleb Farley, still undetermined. Dylan Radins, still undetermined. Monty Rice, clearly not in the best position. Elijah Molden, who we did not see in practice this past week.
Yep.
Des Fitzpatrick, gone. Rashad Weaver, promising. Racey McMath, question. And Brady Breeze, I don't even think made it past the first year.
He did not. Yeah. Class got some issues, Kayla. Class is not in session for them as far as that draft class go, man. Monty Rice situation is unique because I envision him being a guy. Didn't his season end early last year, too, to IR, if I'm not mistaken?
Monty Rice was banged up last year.
Correct,
He was. And you find yourself in the same boat again, of course, and Vrabel doesn't shy away from saying, okay, you're unavailable. I mean, you call out Christian Fulton, and I know a lot of people may think, man, it's insensitive, Coach. You know this is a league where injuries are going to happen, but it is a conversation if it continues to happen, if your play doesn't resonate. I think when we did see that makeshift depth chart when he wasn't a starter and Jack Gibbons was in front of him, my antennas went up then. I expected a guy who has some pop to him, who has some speed to him, has some ability to make plays defensively for this team to take that next step. We didn't get that this year from him so far, whether it be injuries, whether it be issues he's dealing with outside of football. And I don't think that's the case now because Vrabel's speaking on him in a very short conversation right now, short responses. So I look at Monty's situation. I kind of say, dude, don't let this go down the drain. You're in a position right now that guys like, Dr. Gibby is going to take that next step. You have guys like, honestly, Chance Campbell that's going to walk in and get some play. I saw Ben Neiman make plays this weekend, too.
I forgot about Ben Neiman,
Legitimately, you got to get on the field, however that is, because he is starter capable, whether it's playbook, whether it's instinct, or whether it's just injuries. Something has to happen in order for you to get on the field because, again, Jack is smart as ever, Dr. Gibby. But when it comes down to athletic ability, I might slide with Monty Rice, but clearly Jack is definitely trumping him over anything right now when it comes to why he's playing and why Monty Rice isn't.
Yeah, I think it's not good for Monty. That he got passed by Gibbons as quickly as he did on the depth chart.
Sure.
But then after that, there's the fact that if he's just not available at all, that's a bigger issue. I mean, at this point, it's interesting because with a new general manager, all bets are off if you were drafted by the previous guy. If John Robinson picked you, you might be on the way out, even if you've only been here a couple years.
Yeah, for real.
So, all right, list of guys who did not play, the notable ones, who I think were interesting. Sean Murphy-Bunting did not play. It's fine. Azeez Al-Shaair, Caleb Farley, Will Levis, DeAndre Hopkins, Colton Dowell. That one is a concern for his chances of making the roster.
Yeah.
Treylon Burks, Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Moore, who was released over the weekend, so he will not be playing moving forward in a Titans uniform. Roger McCreary, Derrick Henry, Elijah Molden.
That's
I'll stop briefly on that one.
No.
That's interesting.
I don't like that with the injury stuff that's happened in the past.
Hassan Haskins, Christian Fulton, Kevin Byard, Jonathan Ward, Amani Hooker, Arden Key, Monty Rice, Luke Gifford, Harold Landry, who Mike Rabel did say yesterday we might see on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Harold, let's go.
Let's go.
That's great.
Oh.
You need Harold to get a couple of reps going into week 1, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Give him one series.
Yeah.
See how the knee feels.
I'm
Just go
with
through
that.
the mental preparation of getting back on the field and trusting a torn ACL. Fair?
Yeah, very fair.
I
Will.
wouldn't mind seeing Arden and Aziz out there either, just for one series.
It'd be good to see the entire band. It would be.
And that includes Kevin Byard?
That does include Byard.
Oh.
As long as it's at home.
It does include Byard. Also, new turf inside of Nissan, too.
I know.
Yeah, well, that the way I see it now, guys, if Patrick Mahomes is playing week 2 of preseason, is the pendulum swinging back towards playing preseason games, guys? You mentioned it in the very beginning of the show, Ramon. As chippy as a lot of joint practices have been, Saints and Texans canceled theirs
Oh, my.
for this week. I believe that's right,
Yes,
right?
they did.
Saints and
Yep,
Texans
they
canceled
did.
theirs for this week's too. Titans and Patriots canceled theirs. Obviously, Isaiah Bolden's injury in New England, it gives you some extenuating circumstances for that one.
Sure.
Is the pendulum swinging back away from joint practices?
It's becoming unproductive.
I feel like it may have swung too much towards relying so much on joint practices right after COVID.
It did because they thought this was a loophole to get an extra game in. But when you don't have referees and real penalties, like I saw a player this past week from the Steelers get fined $43,000 because he hit somebody the wrong way. Like joint practices, you're allowed to do those things. And of course, they thought they was getting away with it. But with these fights that's happened as of late, and even the Titans have had a couple, back and forth, nothing that made national headline news the way these other teams did. But goodness gracious, almost every coach seems like they're getting zero production out of it for the most part.
And really quick, I think the timing, there's just not a lot of flexibility. If you're planning a trip to go somewhere right after a game, there's no flexibility if one thing goes wrong. It's just you're kind of gambling a little.
You are gambling a little bit. And I also think that Northeastern idea of the weather, them coming down, I'm just going to throw that out there. There's going to be a steamer this week. Can you imagine doing joint practices and that?
Right.
Yeah.
There's no excuse, but still.
Not talking about broccoli.
Yeah, we're not talking.
615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up, some sports media news and a change you will be able to notice if you're watching the Monday Night Football rehearsal tonight. Sports media news that's going to make me more incentivized to watch ESPN for Monday Night Football. Coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for United Structural Systems. And when it comes to large home repairs, listen up. A lot of the time, I know this for myself. We homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs. We are afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed now, or it could be a small problem that will become bigger later, or it could be nothing at all. Bottom line, we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. What we need is a peace of mind. And United Structural Systems is the company to give you that. They have over 25,000 100% satisfied residential customers, and here's how they make that happen. When they come out to your house, you're getting problem solvers who provide a peace of mind to the customer, the homeowners. You're not getting someone who is worried about meeting a sales quota or upselling the next big thing, but someone there to educate you and help you understand what's happening with your home. At USS, their only measure of success is how satisfied the homeowner is and not a closing ratio. The attitude and culture is the reason why they keep their employees year after year, too. They have project managers, the customer service to production. Some have been with USS for 25 plus years. And if you have some foundation repair, waterproofing done, you also have a peace of mind knowing that USS provides an honest diagnosis and stands by their work and warranties. This is huge. And the best part about it, USS is based right here in Middle Tennessee. They are members of our community, and they've been in the business for 25 years, and they aren't going anywhere soon. Homeowners trust USS like myself, keeping homes dry and stable. They guarantee their best every single time. And they serve Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Northern Alabama. And you can reach them online at ussTN.com, or you can call them at 615-488-7855.
Monday morning continues on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up at 8, or at 9, excuse me. 8 already happened. We will do, or 8 Mountain Time, I should say. We will do a little look around the AFC South to see exactly what the Texans, Jags, and Colts were up to. All three in action in preseason over the weekend. Guys, tonight, there is a new cast for Monday Night Countdown that I'm actually excited about. Because when this one person is involved with anything ESPN, I will always tune in. Scott Van Pelt is the new host of Monday Night Countdown.
Sweet.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of his. He's actually one of the ones that got me into sports talk radio.
Really?
Really?
Yes, 100%. He was so freaking good when this was about maybe from like 2010 to maybe 13, 14, I guess. He was on the radio in the afternoons and stuff. My wife actually was the one that put me on to him, and he was just so good and so cool with being on the radio like that. He was good. Just simply put, he was good.
The rest of the cast of characters, our guy Ryan Clark, Robert Griffin III, Marcus Spears, Adam Schefter, insider, Michelle Beisner-Buck, features reporter, Larry Fitzgerald, and Alex Smith as contributors as well. Anything SVP's involved in, I'm down.
Me too.
I'm in.
Yeah, I like that addition. Definitely. The rest, we saw a lot of them last year. But obviously, the big one, Susie Kolber, not going to be there, which I definitely will miss personally. But yeah, Scott Van Pelt added to that pregame show. Love the energy he brings. Yeah. Just a natural and makes it fun.
He does.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely. Good for them. That's a nice shakeup right there. I'll live with that one, Will.
Yeah, definitely. And they do have to find a way to not totally water down everything Scott does because he is so involved now. Like he's got the podcast with Stanford Steve, the SVP Sports Center. But selfishly, hosting a morning show, we don't get to watch a lot of SVP Sports Center because it's on after a lot of primetime games on so late. Yeah. It's like, I can actually watch Scott Van Pelt now.
Yeah. By far one of the coolest logos of all show logos out.
Oh, the bald head with the mic.
With the headphones around it, too. Oh, my gosh. That was so good of him. Whoever was behind that, hey, you're a genius, man. That was good.
And you said shout out to Ryan Clark because clearly, like, this is a guy who's been on our show before. But honestly, if you follow Ryan Clark or if you've just seen his work, like, I will tune in for Ryan Clark.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like, the stuff he brings analytically, and he's just such a smart dude. I love watching him on any cast.
He's solid. How solid as they get. You're 100% correct.
It's a guy I changed my opinion on.
Really?
I like Ryan.
Really?
Oh, I'm glad.
I didn't know that before, that you weren't a huge fan.
I was not.
Yeah, RC came on a few times in the old show, and he lit the world on fire. He did.
Well, and when he had his take about Derrick Henry that I still mostly disagree with, when he said Derrick Henry has late play bravery.
He did.
That he doesn't actually run tough against defensive linemen. He only runs tough against safeties when he's one-on-one. There are plenty of clips of Calais Campbell being shoved into the earth and other defensive linemen being literally groundhogs put into the ground by Derrick Henry. So I didn't really love that one, but that's all right.
But he's good, though. I got to give it to him.
Oh, yeah, no, Ryan's great.
Yeah,
I've changed my opinion on him. Ryan does an outstanding job.
He does a real good job. That's good when it gets something
We need to get him
like
on
that.
here soon.
We
I
can
know
get
he's
him on.
busy, but dang.
We can definitely get him on. Just
Yeah,
gotta give him a heads up.
much
now.
better commentator than he was a player.
Oh, waiting for that. We were waiting
You
for that.
sound like Kelly Washington, the Tennessee player that disrespected him.
Name of
famously.
that, and yeah, that also happened. Name of the running back from Miami that also played for the Ravens. That RC pretty much knocked out of commission.
We'll have to get to that later, man. We're right up against the break.
Well, he absolutely obliterated a Ravens running back, man.
What am I going to do? I don't want to compliment either of these teams you're talking about.
Bert.
I'm on both of your sides and also neither of your side at the same time.
I hope everybody lose.
I just want both teams to have literally no fun. I'm like the opposite of Rabel sitting at the Super Bowl with the NFL crest on his hat.
Oh, me, oh, my. Yeah. That was awesome, though. Forget who was that running back. I know Bert knows.
Willis McGahee.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Couldn't be my running back.
Yep.
The amount of times now in normal conversation because of Ramon Foster, I'd be like, couldn't be my insert literally any object here.
You know what? Another one that's been running rampant with me. You didn't used to be like this.
Yeah, I know,
you
that's
got
the
me
one.
saying it. You got me saying it to my girlfriend now.
Ramon now like will look at us if we say something dumb or if we fight him on something, he'll just be like, "You didn't used to be like this." And now I'll be going around like my girlfriend will say something like, "Peyton, you didn't used to be like this." Oh, goodness.
So good.
You're
So
getting me in trouble.
changed.
You've changed. That's right. 615-737-1045. Colts, Texans, and Jags in action over the weekend. We'll tell you what happened to them as we begin hour number 4 coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Zen Sports, here to tell you about who I just said. That's Zen Sports. They're the new sports betting app in Tennessee, revolutionizing sports betting rewards. What if I told you you're wasting your time and money betting on any sports book that's not Zen Sports? Zen Sports offer real cash rewards for those lucky enough to be in Tennessee. And that means no funny money, points, or credits. You get hard cash to your account. For instance, a welcome bonus where you can earn 5% cash back on every bet you place for the first 15 days with no limit on your bonus when you use the referral bonus code, and earn up to 3% cash back on your bets after that with the Zen Sports loyalty program. So make the switch today and start betting on Zen Sports. Your wallet will thank you later. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet.
What's going on? Just about a minute before 9 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans got the win over the Vikings in Minnesota, 24-16, and their rushing attack was firing on all cylinders, rushing for a total of 281 yards with Julius Chestnut and Tajay Spears both having a touchdown. Tajay Spears was from 33 yards out.
Offset eye to the right. Going to run Spears that way. Nice hold. Jumps over a man to the 25, to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. End zone. Touchdown, Titans. Tajay Spears showing us his Ronaldo Nehemiah.
Chestnut also had a touchdown receiving in the game. 2 touchdowns for him, 1 for Tajay Spears, and both of them finished with 7 yards a carry. The Titans now pivot their practice schedule as the Patriots have pulled out of joint practices after a scary injury suffered by cornerback Isaiah Bolden. That injury caused the Patriots-Packers preseason game to be suspended. Isaiah Bolden was released from the hospital yesterday morning and is said to be in good spirits. Nashville SC fell to Miami in penalty kicks. Messi scored early and had Nashville SC behind.
Chance for Miami. Taylor give and go with Martinez. Robert Taylor on his right foot. Tries to slide it in for Kamaski. Intercepted. Here's Lionel Messi on his left foot. Top of the 18. Messi shoots and he scores. Magical Messi for Miami.
Fafa Pico ended up evening up the score, but Nashville SC fell in penalties 10-9. Nashville SC is back in action at Geodis Park on September the 2nd against Charlotte FC. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
We welcome you to your Monday morning and 2-hour number 4 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by all 4 Seasons Garage Doors right here on 104.5 The Zone. And we've got another hour to take your phone calls on Titans and Vikings, your biggest positives, your biggest negatives about this roster heading into the final preseason game Friday night. Friday Night Lights in Nissan Stadium between the Titans and the Patriots this weekend. 615-737-1045 to join Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, and I'm Will Bowling. We'll get to a recap of the AFC South's weekend as well, as the Jags may have found a solid second running back behind Travis Etienne. C.J. Stroud was a little bit better, but the Texans still can't score a touchdown. And the Indianapolis Colts behind Gardner Minshew get a win over the Chicago Bears.
There you go.
3 hours down, 1 more to go. How we feeling, everybody?
Good.
Yeah, good. I'm ready for some practice back here. It's been a minute. Been a week without practice. I feel like I'm going through with withdrawals.
Yeah.
So it'll be good to see. I wish it was joint practices, but we'll take a practice.
No doubt about it. I'll say this about the Colts weekend, too. If I see just one more NFL establishment, team, organization, program, whatever you want to call these NFL clubs, okay, tweet out a video, a visual, an Instagram post, a social media post, whatever you want to do, call it, okay? You can put it on YouTube for all I care, about their quarterback in any capacity, being the number one guy or the last guy on the roster. I'm a crazy lead up to this, right? Really giving this up. If I see one more video of anybody tweeting their quarterback doing a jump throw down the field, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay? I'm going to absolutely lose it. The Colts posted Anthony Richardson with a jump throw rolling out to his right, it was a dime to the end zone. Okay? If I see that one more time, I'm going to lose my mind, okay? It's irrelevant to what's going on. Don't hype me up on the fact that you're hype about somebody throwing across their body a dime to the end zone with no defense at all, okay? Nobody rushing against them at all in a safe practice setting. I can do that right. That's just like me saying to you guys, man, I drank 10 threes in a row in a basketball gym, y'all. You know what? That's all fine and dandy because I had no defense in front of me, no stress about making a shot, and there was no wins and losses. I am over the jump pass in this league when it doesn't equate to anything and it's in a practice setting. Give me that. Okay, give me that during the game. That's what I'm going to be impressed with.
Well, in all seriousness, I was a little surprised that Gardner Minshew played that entire preseason game when I get it. Richardson is your starter. He is a rookie. He played 1 year as a starter at Florida.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And it's not even a Colts hate type of thing. I'm with you on that.
Well, no, but it's reps, Ramon.
It's like, what we doing here, okay? Like, I'm over this era of quarterbacking. I'm not over it, but let's just be real about what's going on, okay? That's all I got for you. I cannot handle the jump pass anymore. Because how many times have we seen Zach Wilson do those things? Huh? Closest person we've seen do this in games is Patrick Mahomes. This is one of the only ones that's done those things. I'm done.
And Patrick is playing in preseason.
You know what I mean? He's playing in preseason games.
Crazy.
He did have a wild throw, though, that he had like 6 guys chasing him on the sideline and threw it back in bounds. I think it was an incompletion. Again, that's what happens in the games, right?
Yes, it does.
Patrick's running out of bounds, throw across his body into the defense, and it was, I think, an incomplete pass. Like, that's what I'm telling you. Like, this stuff that you're trying to hype us up about, let me see him stand in the pocket and deliver a pass.
Are you guys weekend box score watchers if you can't watch the games? Like, are you just popping in to see what's going on in all these games? Because I that's what I do. And when I looked at this Chiefs game, I was in the best way you could say it is rural North Carolina, where if you don't have certain TV packages, you can't watch games.
Lovely.
So that being said, my dad has a TV with like 4 channels on it, so I was not watching any games. But when you look at that Chiefs game in the preseason, all of their quarterbacks went off. Every single one of them. They all finished with like over 100 yards. All of them finished with a touchdown. All of them finished with a high completion percentage. But stuff like that always sticks out to me when I watch random preseason games in the offseason.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's their style of offense. And I'll say this, too. Are they ahead of the curve with playing most of their starters, all of their starters, too? What is the actual measuring sticks when it comes down to teams playing their guys? And I know everybody can say, well, if Patrick can do it, everybody should be doing it. I kind of fall in line with that one, but also they may have more depth and they may have more security when it comes down to the way they are run as an organization offensively than almost any other team right now as it stands in the NFL.
I mean, and Patrick's probably the least guy I would ever expect to play in the preseason just because of his resume and what he does year in and year out. But again, that's team-by-team situation and how they decide to handle it. But I'm sorry, there is no excuse for Anthony Richardson not getting reps in some sort of preseason action. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating.
Colts beat the Bears 24-17. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say moving forward with joint practices being shut down, if this continues on, what will be the new method moving forward with 3 games?
Sure.
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew, 13 of 15 for 107 and a touchdown. Miami Dolphins beat the Houston Texans 28-3 with Tua Tagovailoa starting. If there was any starting quarterback I would not want to play in preseason, the one that needs to be bubble wrapped everywhere he goes would be the one.
True.
So a little surprised, but not really. 2 for 4, 13 yards for C.J. Stroud in game 1. In game 2, 7 for 12 for 60.
Okay.
Led the Texans to 3 points.
Yeah.
Did get an opportunity after a Tua interception, so he's in midseason form, on the Miami 7-yard line. And then C.J. Stroud went 0 for 2, and they turned the ball over on downs.
Yeah.
On goal to go after an immediate interception.
Did see they're super excited about Will Anderson.
Yeah, they should be.
Yeah. I do have one pushback on the play that he made in the sack fumble.
On what?
Will Anderson.
So he had a sack fumble over the weekend.
He had a sack fumble. He ran over a running back. The running back was bracing before he even got there to tackle him, and it was just a crap show from the get-go on that play. He was free to the running back, blew through him for a sack, and I was just like, all right. Of course, you're a high first-round draft pick. They're going to paint that one up high, but he's going to be a problem. I will say that. He has a relentless motor as it stands right now. So we got to see him 2 times a year. It's going to be fascinating to see how they prepare for a guy like him. And truthfully, how his body and how he stand up to NFL offensive linemen blocking him too.
It feels to me like it may take C.J. Stroud a bit longer to adjust. maybe in the NFL than some of these other rookies. I do feel like Houston is one of those teams you want to play the first 8 or 9 weeks versus the end of the year. I think this time next year, Houston might be ready for a Jacksonville kind of jump. I'm not saying this year.
Yeah.
I think if all goes to plan and they don't totally whiff on their draft picks, which they have a lot of, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape. But we'll see.
We will see. I'm with you on it. The talent has to show up at some point. It's a matter of if their head coach can pull it out of them, what kind of team is going to be to support that defense. Watching the clips of Laramie Tunsil, though, the protection won't be a thing. I know that on the left side.
Yeah, he's still him.
He's still him. He
Right.
effortlessly just blocked guy after guy.
I love the excitement you get watching offensive linemen in practice.
You know why? you know why, though? Because, and I saw somebody else post this on social media. There's some good that comes out of social media. But everybody pays no attention. You said, nobody pays any attention to the OL up until late. But you still
Unless you listen to this show.
Unless you listen to this show. But, of course, you look at it and you still say to yourself, well, unless you're in a position of having those prime guys or have one of those premier running backs, like I saw somebody say, well, you can go play running back all you want to. Your lifespan in the NFL is short. Go become an offensive lineman if you're one of those guys fighting for a position. Not everybody can play it, but you get paid more. You last longer in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get trashed as much unless you're that bad like Dennis Daly.
Well, he got a second chance, though. It's not like that hurt him.
And he got a second chance. Is probably making more than probably 70% of the running backs in the league while getting that second chance on being back.
Crazy.
Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
All the fuss made about, man, I want the ball in my hand. Man, you better go put your hand in the dirt probably or play linebacker at this rate at what's happening to that position. And I'm hoping they do something about that. I'm not mocking the running backs. I'm just saying to myself, for a position that's really crapped on as far as the offensive line, these dudes are now making 2 times as much as those guys are and staying in the league that much longer, too.
Yeah.
Well, that is a good question. Like if Derrick Henry was a college, no, not even college, let's say a high school football player right now, are there enough players that are tweeners that are watching what the running back position has become in the NFL and picking other positions now at a younger age? Or is that not even on a high school kid's radar?
I don't think it's on their radar because the college coaches love the running back.
Okay.
They absolutely love the running back. I would tell any kid that's playing running back this, have another unique skill set, catching the ball.
And I do think that's where 7-on-7 has changed this on its own, where we've talked about this off air quite a bit and even a little bit on this show that you can make the argument 7-on-7 becoming sort of its own sport is the reason why the running back position is so devalued now.
It is.
And so it's going to take the amount of time it's taken for 7-on-7 to take over the way that it has. It's now going to take an equal amount of time to change it back. And I don't see any scenario of that, in the words of Kyle Shanahan.
But you're not minimizing what the run game is.
Right, exactly. One other game this weekend for the AFC South, Jags and Lions. Just your run-of-the-mill 25-7 preseason football game. Former Auburn running back Tank Bigsby had 70 yards on 13 carries in the first half against Detroit, has 122 yards on 22 carries through the first 6 quarters of preseason. 5.5 per carry for him. Not bad.
Not bad.
I think anybody that watched SEC football the past couple of years would have told you that Tank Bigsby will be an NFL player. And looks pretty good.
Seems like the Jags and the Titans have both found their 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Copycat division, ain't it?
That's right. Coming up, defensive standouts from Minnesota. We'll reset the headlines as well on why the Titans will not be practicing with the New England Patriots this week. And any of your phone calls at 615-737-1045. If you were at Geodis Park over the weekend, tell us what the atmosphere was like. If you want to talk Titans, we can do that. 615-737-1045 as we continue in hour number 4.
It's Ramon Foster for a Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Yes, absolutely. And I've personally used Hiller for all of those reasons. I've had low voltage put in my house as far as the lighting. I've had outlet replacement. I've had HVAC service, and they're actually coming out very soon too. And just a multitude of things that Hiller has done for my house. I'm proud to endorse them just simply because they are good. 100% satisfaction with what they're after every single time they come out to your house. And just speaking of coming out to your house, the safety in which they go about sending a tech out. They will send you a text in the time frame they will be there, and every time they have been on time. It's been times so I've needed Hiller to come out and they didn't have an appointment that day. I get a call later that evening and say, hey, we have somebody that's able and capable of coming out to service your house. They are always looking to get your job done as quick as they possibly can. They're good. They will send you a picture of the person coming out, the vehicle they're in, and when they walk into your house, they will put on shoe sleeves so that they don't mess up your flooring or track in any kind of dirt. They're professional, experienced, trustworthy technicians come into your home and leave it better and cleaner than they found it. All techs have a background check and are drug tested. You can trust them coming in. Hiller cares about the homeowner, like myself, the communities that they service, their partners, vendors, and employees. Caring is a major theme for their business, and they make sure they're never leaving someone stranded or in need. And they have true transparency pricing. No hidden fees, no added costs, no surprises when you get your bill. Everything is itemized and explained up front so you know what you're getting and when you pay for it and why. And they only suggest repairs or replacement to the customer if they absolutely need it. Case in point, my tankless water heater had an issue and they did not leave. The tech did not leave until the job was done. They had the parts on site. They made sure that everything was exactly as needed too. And the best part about Hiller, they're family owned and operated and have been in business since 1990. They are a part of our community. And learn more about Hiller at happyhiller.com. And proud sponsors of the Vols, MTSU, Vanderbilt, and the Nashville Predators. Be sure to tell them also that Ramon sent you.
Continuing the 9 a.m. hour right here on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. I've got a problem with the people in the room this morning. In the break, we're having a nice conversation. By the way, that's Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, I'm Will Bowling. I'm just having a nice conversation. Talking about college football. It's week 0. We got Navy and Notre Dame and Ireland this upcoming weekend. We got Vandy and Hawaii in person. So I asked the people. Man, I asked the question earlier. Are y'all going to go to the Vandy-Hawaii game? Y'all said no. That's fine. Y'all got things going on. Titans play Friday, recovery day, whatever. I was like, if I wasn't going to Atlanta to watch NSC and Atlanta United and call it right here on 104.5 The Zone, pregame coverage at 6 p.m., kickoff at 6:30, I'd probably go to the Vandy-Hawaii game. And Ramon looks at me with the face of bewilderment, like I just put my shoes on my head and called him a hat. And like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, it's college football for cheap. And your amazement / disdain for me. I'm not even trying to. Why is it that every time I bring up this stuff?
We were having a nice time.
I try to talk Vanderbilt football, and it's like you laugh at me.
No. The reason, Bert, if you can hit the Peter Griffin one more time, is because
we were having a nice time.
It's simply because it's like, heck yeah, Ramon, we're here in Nashville, college football going on. It's like, man, I can go to a college game for $5.
Yeah.
You said I could go to a college football game for $5.
All right, let's all guess.
No.
How much do we think the cheapest ticket is for Vandy Hawaii on Saturday?
I'm going $27.
27. Bert?
Is that including fees? Are we including fees?
We're just going to go the value of what you see on your favorite. We're going to go to vividseats.com.
Man.
Just because it was the first link.
I'm going to say $38.
Without fees?
Without fees. I got to give them a little benefit of the doubt, man.
I was not even trying to be disrespectful
15,
for this.
20?
I'm going to say 12 is the cheapest ticket. I'm going to say it's $12.
Dog! It's
Survey says $9 is the get-in price for Vanderbilt and Hawaii.
Shut up. There's no way.
The price is right on Ramon, Kalen, and Will.
No way.
Wow.
Again, guys, this is some Vandy fans going to take this out of context of this Vandy hater Will is just this was literally me being like, no, I want to get the people in Asheville to know that there is affordable college football in the city this weekend. Just go watch college football.
Will you stop saying that?
No, I'm not, because I'm serious. I'm not trying to troll. Listen, I say it all the time. If I'm being a troll, you'll know. I'm serious. I am legitimately saying in favor of going to this game. Vanderbilt, I'm trying to get people to go to this game. What? I'm not being sarcastic. I'm saying it is $10 to go watch college football. Week 0 college football is still better than no college football.
You're making it worse.
No, how am I making it worse?
Stop talking, man.
If you're broke and want to go see a college football game.
Is this what it's like to be married when you just keep saying things and you just keep digging a hole for yourself?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, Will.
Good.
You keep talking about it. I'm telling you, you can just go to a college football $10.
I'm just saying, no matter how bad the game is,
I'm
it's
not
only
saying
$10.
it's going to be bad. I'm saying it's real college football.
For $5, you know what you just said, sir?
It's $9. I wonder if other websites have higher or lower ticket prices.
Now he's just continuing to pile on. Now you're just continuing to pile on. You really said you can go to an SEC football game in week 0. The number 0
it is week
attached
0.
to
It
this.
is literally by definition week 0.
I know, but you just it's for $5. Then you looked up, it was $9.
Mom, can we go to an SEC football game? We have SEC football at home.
We do.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, the IMG Lipscomb game is going to be more of a hotter ticket than that, Will.
Good game, by the way, too.
It was, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Everybody who was anybody, as far as locally, I think was at that game, too. Everybody.
Right.
All I can realize, like, my son ended up going to it, and it seemed like every school was represented as far as being there. He told me he saw kids from every other school except for those 2 schools.
You also, in week 1, have so many teams that play Thursday, and then, like, Brentwood Academy CPA was Saturday. You've got more games that are happening around Friday in week 1, where, yeah, I think it was quite the spectacle.
Can you just own up real quick, though?
Own up to what?
The fact that you really just piled on the Vandy for no
If
particular
I was
reason.
trying to troll, I would own it right now. I was legitimately being serious, saying if I did not have a broadcast Saturday, I would go to the Vandy game.
Again,
I'm serious.
You didn't used to be this way.
Oh, my goodness.
I knew you disliked Vandy.
We have to be able
I
to
knew
talk
that.
Vandy seriously, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm genuinely, like, I'm dead serious. I'm trying to say that.
I'll let you guys make fools of yourself.
How am I, Kayla, tell me how I'm making a fool of myself. No. How am I making a fool of myself?
I'm just sitting back.
I got nothing.
I didn't say you in particular.
You said you guys making a fool of yourselves.
Well,
how am I making a fool of myself?
You're making this a thing.
I'm not making it a thing. I'm
You
actually
are
trying to
making
call
it a
Will.
thing.
I'm calling Will out for just trying to play it down like that.
That was one thing that Will actually said that he wanted to do that was not making fun of Vandy.
I wasn't making fun at all.
No, I said you weren't.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
right.
I said that's the one thing you were saying. You actually would go to the game and watch some football in person this weekend.
I don't believe him.
It's oh my goodness. Okay. You've got Friday Night Lights and you've got Week 0. That's a Friday-Saturday doubleheader. I love how out of all of this, I'm still going to be the one on social media who's going to be made the villain for this.
No.
It's my favorite part. Those
I'm
no-name Vandy
clearly-
Twitter accounts who just cannot stand my face, which I don't blame them. My face is a 6 out of 10, but
I'm clearly the villain on this.
Own it.
I can't even own it. Heck, I can buy it for $5.
you were born in the darkness. Ramon Foster used to be better than this. Davis is in Franklin, 615-737-1045. What's up, Davis?
I've got to tell a quick story about Vandy tickets. I'm a Vandy fan, been a season ticket holder for 15 years.
Yep.
And my tickets were often available, very nice seats. And went into Walmart one time, and I thought, I'm going to get rid of these somehow. So I left 4 of them on the hood of my car while I went in. And I came out, and there were 8 tickets there.
Oh, gosh.
Davis and Franklin.
Davis.
You're a dog.
He's a season ticket holder.
Davis.
That's a classic joke. I'm like, wow, I left 4 tickets to whatever, and then somebody left 4 more. That's like a classic. Thank you, Davis.
You were to hit it for me, Bert. Oh, hey, we're having a good time.
We were having a nice time.
I do understand where Ramon is coming from the perspective, guys, of sometimes you'd rather someone just hate you and admit it versus bless your heart. And Ramon is the type that's like, don't bless my heart, just hate me.
Just hate me. No, for real.
Yeah, I know.
Don't pat me on the back
fair.
and then slap me on the head right after that. No, don't do that. That's what you did just then. You and what was that guy name that just called
Davis
in?
and Franklin.
Davis and Franklin. He said he's a season ticket holder, and he put him on the hood of a Buick.
That's not a Buick. That's what I told him. I feel like Davis could have just put one of my college friends under a pseudonym, but there's no way.
I want to call Davis back and be like, you sure about that? You sure about that?
Well, one thing I am sure of is Caleb Murphy was the defensive standout for the Titans on Saturday in Minnesota.
Yeah,
Yes?
he was.
Yes.
He definitely was. I guess his grandma at the first preseason game in Chicago had told Armani Marsh's dad that he is him.
Oh, wow.
And I
Straight
said,
up?
go, Granny, go.
Nice.
Because according to what he's done on the field in the last 2 preseason games, he is him.
Yes, 100%, man.
No, great showing, though, by
Yeah.
the kid out of Ferris State.
By Ferris State, yes. Caleb Murphy, man, goodness gracious. Again, sometimes you have to see the pureness of what a player does after the fact, like knowing that he had a ton of sacks at Ferris State, right? And you say to yourself, how? What was he doing? And then you watch him
That's
in the
Division
game.
2, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
that's what I
Division 2. Sometimes it does translate over. Sometimes that skill set is a part of why they are who they are at whatever level. It could have been because opportunity. It could have been grades. Heck, there's no grades in the NFL, okay? It could have been a lot of things where he was recruited out of, coaching changes, exposure, right? And here he is now putting it on display against his peers on an NFL field. I'm on his train right now watching him do this. Can he do it again in week 3? 2 straight games of getting sacks for his team. And not just, this is a free sack right here, like the quarterback ran into him. No, he is actually beating people. The move he put on the right guard in that game had that right guard against Minnesota looking foolish. And then he coupled that up by going over to the left side and doing the exact same thing. He's a guy right now that if you cut him, he's got a job somewhere else. It's just that simple for him. And I'm excited to see him because getting to the quarterback, the sack game for this team has to be something that has to be explored this year. Getting the quarterback on his back. You got Anthony Richardson. You got Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? And C.J. Stroud. the quarterbacks in this league, in this division, have to be something that's not an X factor for their team. And having a young guy that can come in and get sacks for you, even more beautiful.
Has he done enough to garner a roster spot at this point for you guys?
He's getting close.
I think he has.
Yeah.
Because that would be a hard sneak on the practice squad, because if David Aneni is getting sniped, then you would imagine Caleb Murphy would also be prone to get sniped.
Caleb Murphy is making a strong case, though.
And that was, to me, the most surprising move from last year's camp was David Aneni not having a spot. Remember, he was quickly picked up by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
quickly.
He was. And released, I think, not soon after that.
Right. I think it is interesting, though, just the way Mike Vrabel and the Titans organization, and I'm curious if this will be different under Rand Carthon, utilizes the edge rusher position.
Yeah.
Like, Rashad Weaver was essentially the only backup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the only way you make the bottom of this roster at edge is if you're Kamalai Correa and you can play special teams also, or if you can do multiple things. I wonder if the Titans are willing to accept a change to that idea. Guys, I just think Danico Autry is so much better as an inline interior offensive lineman.
Yeah.
And yes, Danico Autry can have an impact on a game as an edge rusher. I think it's important to keep him in his best role this season.
I do too.
I think the continuity of Jeff and Autry with the help of Jaden Peavy and Tierra Tart on the inside, and you've got maybe the best 3 defensive linemen, at least in the division.
Yeah. As far as just overall quality?
As far as best position group of your 3 versus the best 3 for Indy, best 3 for Jacksonville, best 3 for Houston, I would take the Titans over all of those.
Of best 3, yes, I'll give you that crown.
100%.
Yes, 100% on that.
That should be the expectation for this defense, because they've proven that health of the secondary has been one of the position groups that has been the most banged up since Mike Vrabel has been here. So I wonder if they are incentivized to keep an extra edge this year. I think if it comes down to best 53, Murphy is one of the best 53 on this roster right now.
As it stands with the performance that everybody's put out, yes, 100%, man. And it's not just that, too. Sometimes players force themselves onto rosters.
Sure.
That's a part of it.
Should be their job. That should be the mentality they're going to force themselves onto it.
That's what training camp's all about.
Yeah.
You have to. And watching just him, he seems professional as heck already. Like, it doesn't seem like he's surprised by what he's doing. He get those sacks, and it's just like, oh, well, another day at the office for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm intrigued by what he's done so far. 3 sacks in 2 games for him. Again, preseason. I know the guys he's going against is not your A game guys, but you can't say that he doesn't flash that. The same way that we can be patient with Stonehouse, right? With his ability to boom the ball, I think it's fair to do the same things for a positional guy like Caleb Murphy.
Mm-hmm. And I want to add to that, too, just because you're talking about a guy that came in, is battling for a spot, trying to force his way on. And this is good news for the DB position, too, because Mike Vrabel brought it up in his press conference yesterday that he's really liking the young talent that's battling for spots in that DB room too. And while we kind of have an idea of who possibly could make it, it's good to know that maybe you could keep some of those guys on your practice squad, and at any time you can call them up and have at least some sort of an idea of what they are, who they are, and that they maybe just weren't enough in terms of numbers, right?
Yeah.
But they still could play in a game and fill in a spot. So
no doubt.
615-737-1045 if you want to join in on the discussion. Titans held the Vikings to 15 first downs, 262 total yards of offense over the weekend. I thought the third down defense was especially good. Vikings were just 3 of 13 on third downs in this one. So at this point, guys, defensively, where are your eyes going this week when it comes to practices not against New England? We mentioned we'd reset that based on Isaiah Bolden's injury that ended the Packers-Patriots Week 2 preseason game with 10:38 left in the fourth quarter when Isaiah Bolden had to be stretchered off the field. Guys, I think the inside linebacker position is the most interesting now to me because, yes, defensive back is crucial, and yes, Elijah Molden not playing over the weekend is notable to me. Who starts at corner and where? Is Roger McCreary a nickel? Is he outside? Is Molden a safety? Is he just a third down tight end specialist? Yes, all those things are true, but we expected defensive back to be a question mark. I did not expect inside linebacker to have Jack Gibbons slotted in as the number one guy going into the final week of preseason football. That's not something I had on my bingo card. Yeah. And the fact that Chance Campbell might be equal with Monty Rice right now is no disrespect to Chance Campbell, but that's a surprise to me too. I expected Monty to be right there with Azeez Al-Shire and Jack Gibbons and Chance Campbell pushing to be the second or third guy. Not Jack Gibbons just being on the top of the line of the depth chart.
Me either. That's where I was headed to. If you're asking me where I stand this week, it's the middle linebacker position. Again, Ben Neiman came on and had a solid game this past weekend too. And this is the portion of it that I think is very concerning. Not very concerning, it's just a concern is teams are kind of lighting up the teams, the Titans, when it comes down to zone coverage of that middle linebacker group. They are getting those crossing routes as wide open as almost anybody to extend offensive series for themselves. Like Minnesota beat the Titans across the middle numerous times in front of the middle linebackers or right behind the middle linebackers too. So I'm fascinated to see how that adjusts. But it also lends itself to no Azeez out there because he's a penciled-in starter, I feel like, at this point. Mm-hmm. But the other guys around them is not making the plays that you need them to make, or the guy that I would want to make a play, of course, is Monty Rice. Nowhere to be found, whether that's injuries or whether that's just lack of understanding of this defense.
It's amazing, too, when you talk about one guy can kind of change the look of the room because you kind of came into this season thinking he was going to be one of those starters, and now you're looking at it as, is he at all? I don't know, because I think Jack Gibbons has definitely made a case for that, along with Azeez Al-Shire. And then you've got names like you mentioned, Chance Campbell, which we just didn't see him last year, right? He was injured, so he's kind of behind, but he's done some good things, but he's not a third round, second round, first round pick. And you've got Ben Neiman, so just a lot of names you don't know a ton about. But yeah, it makes that look of the linebackers room a little bit different at this point of camp if Monty Rice indeed has taken some steps backwards.
Yeah. And we'll figure it out over time.
Sure,
I guess,
maybe,
too,
and maybe it won't be that way, right?
But just for instance, Monty Rice is 40 times a 4.5. Jack Gibbons is a 4.8.
Yeah.
Just the speed component of what Monty Rice is capable of. Like, let's just go with the measurables. Let's go with that. Like, Monty, what's holding you back?
Or of your submissions at the F&M Bank chat for what to watch for this week as the Titans take the field Friday night in New England. 615-737-1045, the final call for phone calls as we wrap up the show. Coming up next. Hey, it's Will Bowling here from my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center, who understands choosing a hearing care provider is a big decision. Their number one priority is delivering exceptional patient care. And Brentwood Hearing Center staff combines many years of experience in hearing health care and is well trained on a variety of services ranging from evaluations to treatment. And you can give them a call at 615-377-0420 or visit them online to schedule an appointment at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. They believe great care includes establishing great relationships with their patients. Treating hearing loss, it's an ongoing process. Brentwood Hearing Center's doctors of audiology are going to be there with you every step of the way, whether that's regular follow-ups, maintenance, and cleanings to keep you hearing your best. Over 30 years, one home, proudly serving Brentwood from the same location for more than 30 years. Give them a call today at 615-377-0420 or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life. One final segment for you on a Monday morning of RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045, the final call for phone calls. As we go to Chris, who is in Nashville, up next with us, 615-737-1045. Hey, Chris.
What's up, good people?
Morning.
How we doing?
What's up, Chris?
So, doing all right. Enjoyed you guys this morning.
Thanks.
So I would say I would not be so concerned about the linebacker position. Guess why? Because who was our head coach?
Rabes.
Mike Rabel. And he was a linebacker himself. And this is his thing. And I think Monty Rice will be in maybe on 4th and 1, 3rd and 1 type plays. He's a downhill type linebacker. I was a linebacker myself. And it's really all about reading that line. You know what I mean? You read that guard and watch him pull, watch him block down or whatever. It's about having the smartness and who's our smartest linebackers. So I hang up and listen to you.
Appreciate the
I
call,
like
Chris.
that point, Chris.
You do have to be a steward, of the game, understanding where everybody's supposed to be. They're usually the green dot for a reason, as far as the middle linebacker go. Me personally, I'm just hopeful that Monty can get it out because I'm a fan of watching the plays that he made, specifically his rookie year and some of last year too. He has a way to find himself to the ball. So if he is in situational points of the game, fine. It just is a matter of mentally bringing it. And I don't want to say it like that, but definitely having to be smart enough to understand where everybody's supposed to be and where you're supposed to be at. Maybe this situation is a injury. I don't know because Rabel don't have to update anybody.
No, and we haven't gotten many details even on the injuries. I'll say this. If we see him out there this week, I think it'll be a huge week for him just in terms of where we're at. Is it you're in the doghouse and work your way out, or is it legitimately some sort of injury?
Yeah.
Monty Rice loves football. I'll say that much. I did have one chance to speak with him this preseason, and I could tell just how much he wanted to make a name for himself at some point on this roster. So it's a little disappointing not to see that at this point. He even talked about picking the brain of Azeez Al-Shaair and said how great it was to have him in there because he's asking him so many questions. So my hope is that Monty can get back on track. Maybe Gibbons is in front of him right now, but he can still be on track to being a starter at some point or just helping this team out in some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, that's what we need out of him going into this 3rd year.
And I think, too, just even if he is hurt and that's why he's unavailable, it sounds like Mike Vrabel isn't happy about his availability regardless of what the reasoning is.
Right.
And so even if he is banged up, I think Monty Rice is in real danger of just not making the team. The way Vrabel's talking about him now. I think he will make the roster, but it wouldn't shock me if he's just on the outside now.
Like he gonna have to prove himself on scout team moving forward. Like he really gonna have to make some plays and learn and grow and really, if it is an injury situation, catch up to the speed that you're expected to play going into your 3rd year.
Sure.
I think that's the biggest thing.
I do want to get to one interesting bit of audio here from Mike Vrabel yesterday on Tajay Spears. And Robert's efforting this for us really quickly. My fault for putting him on the spot. But there's one element of Tajay Spears' development that I thought it was interesting Mike Vrabel made a point of when it came to something that was coached in Chicago that then was changed in Minnesota. And I think this goes back to Mike Vrabel talking about Malik Willis switching hands when he carries the football. Said that's a coaching point for him. It's not a secret that we need Malik Willis when he's running to not switch the ball to his left hand. It needs to stay in his right hand. You're switching that thing over. You're more likely to fumble it. Mike Vrabel, though, happy with Tajay Spears and his ball security on something that he's already corrected.
Plus territory. Yeah. Well, you want to know why we called it or what we?
It'd be a little bit different on 3rd and 4 to go with the run, and then I guess what did you think of his run?
Just trying to pick up a first down any way we can. Thought it was a good run, but that was able to get out on the corner and make a miss, and kind of got caught in an awkward situation, just making sure that he protects himself, and he did a much better job with ball security this week. There's really cool picture of him jumping over the safety and the ball is exactly where, Justin and Timmy and the Titans needed to be, which is great. Being able to make those moves. We talked about the stiff arm last week where the ball was there, and Tajay is a coachable kid, man. He wants to do it right, and that was a really cool play. But most importantly, him leaping over the guy and the ball not being away from his body was probably the most impressive.
That, to me, is a good sign when it comes to Tajay Spears and his future as a Titan. That's the kind of stuff Mike Vrabel absolutely loves. And as long as Vrabel is the coach, those are going to be the details that are emphasized that will earn you playing time. You hear this a lot from other sports guys about earning trust with coaches. And sometimes when you're a young player, Ramon, I'm sure you can speak to this being in locker rooms as a player and as a 21, 22-year-old, it's not always your ability that gets you on the field for the first time. It's what is something we coached you on that you listened to and then adjusted to and earned and said, okay, you've now given me the precedent that if I coach you on something, you're going to do it. So now when I'm actually going to put you on the field, I'm going to coach you on bigger, more important things, and you're hopefully going to continue to do them.
It's so true. It's trust.
Am I overreacting saying that?
No, and the fact that Braves brought it up, like, it's legitimately trust. Can we trust you to do the things we ask you to? And the fact that I'm sure he railed him for actually being in a position of not doing those things. So to come back a week later and do it, it's all trust. Can I trust you to do the things right? And again, you're either consistently good or consistently bad, but I need you to be one of them so that I know where you stand. And it seems like Tajay has been consistently good with moving forward and advancing himself.
That's one of the things you've always seen with Mike Vrabel. If he can trust you, like, that's a really good sign to build that trust early on in your career, too, as a Titan. Because we've seen it with Nick Westbrook-Akina. You guys ask all the time, why is he still on the team? Well, a big part of that is trust.
Yeah.
You trust him to do the things consistently the right way.
Yep.
And if you build that as a rookie, damn, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
I would agree. Fun show today.
Yeah.
Well, solid.
4 hours of reaction with us. We'll add more folks into the mix tomorrow. Ron Slay will join us. Eric Kane of allquest.com. Big opportunity for Tennessee to get one of the top defensive recruits in the country tonight as edge rusher Jordan Ross commits. We'll have the reaction to that tomorrow morning. Plus, You're Not That Guy, and much, much more. Titans back at the practice field as well. And right now, Ramon Foster sends us home.
You must remember at all times we sift through this preseason, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.